Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. It's June 29, 2023, and I am James Jones. I'm joined today by Guillaume Vayette.
Hello, hello.
Greg Leahy.
Ahoy, everyone.
John Lindemann.
Great to be here, James.
This is episode 829, which is not a palindrome. And I'm going to assume that many of you have played the Pikmin 4 demo. And by many of you, I mean, not you, John. I expect better. By many of you, I was referring to the audience. And that you are now ready to pick some men, which is not to be confused with Denpa some men. That's a different thing altogether. But we also have been playing some of the Pikmin 4 demo, which came out yesterday as of recording.
Yeah, it was pretty late though.
Night.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It was basically, it was like the next day. I think I didn't get to it until quote unquote today. Even though it's
Nintendo was like,
for me.
this demo is coming out on the 28th. Well, the last fourth of it anyway.
Well, and we had a hint that this was going to be the case because if you looked at the European Direct and the Japanese Direct, they listed the 29th as the release date.
That's it. Okay.
So they were telling us like, hey, it's going to be pretty late. Just
I only had the 28th in my mind, but it's probably because I read it. You know, the after coverage.
Yeah, so that makes sense though. They're like, because it was probably like first person into the office in Kyoto in the morning released the Pikmin 4 demo, like a sticky note on somebody's desk. Remember to release Pikmin 4 demo? Oh shit, I forgot. So it was probably tuned to Japan morning and then just came out the rest of the way. So it is out. People have been playing it. The game comes out in about 20 something days?
Yeah, in a month.
Yep. And you should in the meantime be playing Ghost Trick. There you go. All right, that's RFN this week. Go play Ghost Trick. And we don't want to keep you from that. So Greg, what's our end music this week?
Well, we already arranged this, so you know, if you want to really want to finish it right now, there is nothing stopping you from doing that.
Guillaume gets his favorite podcast link ever right there.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be great. Like it's Canada Day this weekend, so I'll get to celebrate my country for the whole
as it burns
weekend. Yes,
and makes
well, that's how we celebrate Canada here. We burn it down.
It's I'm picturing the Simpsons future episode with Lisa's fiance, the tears in his eyes, and the Union Jack on fire that Bart and Homer have given to him. But instead of a sort of symbol of the country being on fire, it's the country literally on fire.
I have spent the day looking outside, going, "Well, that doesn't look normal," because it's not, and I'm not even getting the worst of it. So. Yeah, let's talk about the Pikmin 4 demo. I guess we'll put content in the podcast. I guess that's technically what we're supposed to be doing here. So if you are listening to this after, well, honestly, I think it's actually going to come out while we're recording. You should be playing Ghost Trick right now. You can play Ghost Trick and listen to the show at the same time. That's fine. I approve of that. If you're not playing Ghost Trick right now, your mother is ashamed of you. There. That's the standard. I did want to say, just last Ghost Trick comment, NWR's review went live 12 years, pretty much 12 years after I reviewed that game, and we gave it the exact same score. Ghost Trick, guaranteed 9.5, any decade. So, if you want to have a guaranteed 9.5 experience, no matter what decade you're playing it in, you should go play Ghost Trick. But we're going to talk about the Pikmin 4 demo, because that's the next game coming out after Oh, no, it's not. Everybody's 1-2 Switch also came out.
Well, it's coming out after. Yeah, Everybody 1-2 Switch came out at the same time.
Yes, Everybody's 1-2 Switch also is coming out.
I mean, it's been out for 2.5 hours over here, Everybody 1-2 Switch, but sadly I've not been able to get to it yet.
So
no, you haven't managed to, just get a group of 100 people at your place.
I haven't.
99. He's one of the people.
I've not done the speed run where you just go straight to the depths and fight Horace Show Pony with a stick.
Why does he have a last name?
Wait, this is real?
Yes.
It should be if it's not. I mean, to do. If this is a Schrodinger's cat situation, I'm never opening that box, so anything could be going on in there.
We found out he had a last name from the Japanese content after we recorded the episode last week. His full name is Horace Showpony. Yeah, I know. I'm also disgusted that he's not in Smash. I agree with you, John. Maybe soon. Maybe they'll correct that mistake and we'll get him in the. He's the content in the next Warriors.
The thing is, what I hate is that I would actually love it if they added him to Smash. It's just in the spirit of burning the world, of watching the world burn.
What if they replaced all the characters with them wearing horse masks? So rather than him being a new character, every character got a horse mask.
It could at least be one of those spirit battles, isn't it? And it's a new status effect, like, oops, all horse masks. And it just messes up your control. It's like in the spirit of like the Skull Kid Assist Trophy or, the other things like that, where it's just like, yeah, everything's pretty much unplayable now, have fun.
I'm Horace Showpony. I'm trying to think of what the dumb pun would be for him arriving.
Yeah.
Here to switch it up or whatever. I just need my Horace Showpony amiibo is the answer. Like, and I don't mean like an amiibo.
See, it's that's the thing. You hate Horace Showpony, but at the same time, he's so awful.
Yeah,
he comes back around again. Yeah.
So I'm not even talking about like a regular plastic amiibo on a base. I'm talking about the giant plush Yoshi amiibo. But it's just a horse's head, like it's the fucking Godfather.
No, it's something. It's a scale horse mask you can put on yourself, but it has an NFC chip in it.
Somebody in the chat in the NWR Discord recommended the chip be in the nose, so you have to touch your snout to anything to use it, which I think is absolutely perfect. Just like if you want to use the Horace Showpony amiibo, you have to put the mask on and tap your nose to the controller. So as somebody who's dealt with horses in some degree, they do like to just like ram you at the front of their face.
Business dealings with horses.
Kind of.
I have several
I mean,
horse
you
clients.
laugh, but anytime you try to get a horse to do something, you really kind of have to like make it worth its while.
They're large animals, James. You have to, they're not. They are not going to do what you want necessarily.
They set the agenda.
They
is
do.
What I would say.
Absolutely.
So even if they respect you, they still like. They don't want to do something. You'll know about it.
They could still hoof you in the chest. Much like a moose.
I've been bit.
So.
I never got kicked. Moose would kill you.
Moose will kill you. Yeah.
Yeah. Horse, you just go to the hospital.
Yes.
But Horace Showpony does not have hooves, which I think is a miss. I think they should have like had hoof boots for him. But yeah, what
would have behooved them to give him those?
God damn it!
It was right there. It was right there. And I'm the kind of guy so I'm going to pick it up.
The worst part is I'm writing it down. Anyway, for fuck's sake. So that's also happening. So if you have a choice between Ghost Trick and Everybody Want to Switch, my recommendation is buy 2 Switches. And that way you can do both at the same time. But after you finish Ghost Trick, and you'll never finish Everybody Want to Switch, but after you take the horse mask off, then you can play Pikmin 4. And so, speaking of Pikmin 4, I saved it. The Pikmin 4 demo came out, and Guillaume has completed it. Greg has played a chunk of it. I've just really poked at it. John, I assume you worked on the demo or something important, right?
No. I was conspiring to get it removed from the eShop, but unfortunately I was unsuccessful. I went in the other direction. So
famed Pikmin fan John Lindemann. We're going to make you play Pikmin 4. Fuck it. It's your choice is Pikmin 4, Everybody Want to Switch single player, John.
I'll play Pikmin 4. In that case, I would play Pikmin 4.
It's just like somebody buying Everybody Want to Switch for single player. It's the most depressed person on earth. So the demo came out. Like I said, I've only really got a chance to poke at it. So all I can say is, wow, it's really pretty. Greg, Guillaume, I'm going to defer to y'all on your thoughts about this demo.
Okay, so we're finally at the Pikmin 4 demo factory.
I mean, until I derail us again, but yeah.
It took us a while to get there, but
So did you enter your name as Thrill House to complete the Simpsons reference? Or whatever.
You know, my name is always too long for the for that screen anyway. But Anyway, so I played a little bit of the demo. I'm a little bit disappointed, even as I'm kind of impressed by how nice it looks. My disappointment, I'll come out and say it, is that when they came out with Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and they added something that was not in the Wii U version, they added full co-op in the main mission mode, the main story mode.
So when you say full co-op, how would you define the full part?
Well, the player 1 does certain things. They play as Captain Olimar, they throw Pikmin, they can do anything that you can do in that game, of course. Player 2 can do exactly the same shit. They can do exactly, they can throw Pikmin, they can play as like a little guy throwing Pikmin around, solve puzzles, etc. So that's full, co-op. Like both players get all the same powers. The same, it
was in the campaign kind of part rather than just like the bonus stuff or high score modes or anything like that.
Yeah,
and the net outcome was vertical split screen, correct?
Yeah, but that's always
or horizontal split screen.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's always vertical. I mean, like you get both side by side. That's vertical.
Really? I thought it was across the middle. Okay.
No, but like the Pikmin franchise since 2 has always had some sort of split screen mode. You had Bingo Battle starting with 2. So it works. It's always worked pretty well, but 3 Deluxe was the first time that you could play the entire story with a partner, and you could both enjoy it equally, and now Pikmin 4, it's been revealed that they walked that back. And what you get is basically, what's it called? The Star Assist mode in Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, I think it's had a few
mode.
It's had a few different, but Co-Star was what I was going to say. Yeah, you've had a few analogous modes down the years, like Bowser's Fury had something a little bit similar with like Bowser Jr., and stuff. But Co-Star is what I would generally think of for. It's like, okay, you control a cursor, you can affect a few things to help, but a lot of the time it's viewed as like a parent and child kind of mode of some description, kind of thing.
But so that's kind of why I kind of cut Nintendo some slack. Like I'm disappointed, but I'm sure I'm in the minority, and I'm sure that some people somewhere enjoy this type of mode. But when you're 2 adults playing the game and you know what you're doing, you don't want to have just co-star mode. You want to play together, have the full experience. Otherwise, playing with someone else with that mode, it's like, that's not fun for either of you. If you're the one assisting, it's like, wow, I sure can assist in very, very limited ways that are not super fun. And when you're the one getting the assistance, it's like, well, I don't necessarily need you here. This is very superfluous, and I might be happier just playing by myself. Thank you. Don't tell that to Karen, but she knows. Like, she feels the same way. I was like, oh shit! Like this co-op mode is the same as those other titles that we mentioned, Super Mario Galaxy and Bowser's Fury. And I asked her, like, do you want to try it? And she said no. So that kind of says it all. So that's disappointing, but I don't know. If you're a parent out there who's had success having fun with that mode with your child, maybe write us. Like, maybe that would make me feel better. And if not, then write Nintendo and ask them to cut it out. Thank you. But yeah, so that's my disappointment. But otherwise, I think that as a single player game, it's going to be pretty good. I hope, like, we didn't get any indication of that. I hope that at least the mission mode where you could play co-op is still there, because that's what Pikmin 3 had originally. You had these timed missions, you have like 5 minutes to get as many points as possible on the stage. You could play those co-op. That was pretty fun. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed here.
Yeah, because I think like it says like the Dandori battle thing or whatever. You can like team up in that rather than just go against each other. But I don't know if there's yet otherwise kind of co-op confirmed at this stage.
Yeah, at this point, only when I see it will I believe that it's there.
Yeah, sure, no, it's fair. It's since Pikmin 2 when you actually introduced Louis and the fact that there were two characters and you could, there was obviously, as a single player game, you were kind of multitasking. It invoked the kind of promise perhaps one day that, maybe, two people could actually do it at once and you could have maybe even online co-op in this sort of thing. Which, that has, never quite come true. I mean, with Pikmin 3 Deluxe, did they ever actually allow you to network switches together locally to avoid having to do split screen, or is a split screen just the only way of doing it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. We only have the one switch here.
Yeah, I thought as much, but I was wondering if it ever kind of came up somewhere, but I can't remember because I think with 16:9 splitting down the middle like that sort of vertically is fine. But, it's the kind of game where the kind of having a screen of your own would be really quite nice, in that co-op situation. And, the fact that, Switches, are, portable handheld, you can play that way offers that potential, but it doesn't look like, I don't think they've ever actually realised that, which I feel is like is something of a shame, but there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, so the single player experience, the demo is the beginning of the game as far as I can tell. Nintendo has come out on social media saying, on the eShop page, it says that the demo progress will carry on to the main game. So you're playing the beginning, and often the beginning of Pikmin games are pretty slow because you unlock each Pikmin type one at a time, and they always like to explain what a Pikmin is and what you can do with them and how to play the game, and there's no way really to skip it. So a fairly slow start for the demo, but it does that you enjoy, the beauty of the environments that they made, or at least the one environment that they've shown. They've shown a few things that I'm less impressed about, though, because the caves from Pikmin 2 make a comeback. And I don't remember how many episodes ago that was, but I replayed Pikmin 2 New Play Control not that long ago, maybe a year ago. And I think I said that the underground environments were not super impressive looking, and they get samey pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they're back here. They kind of look the same as they did in Pikmin 2. And Nintendo hasn't really figured out how to make those impressive, in my opinion, impressive looking. So when you're in the outside environment and you see like a park bench and, all sorts of potted plants and tons of little details, but you're seeing them from the perspective of like a 1-inch eye, the little alien guy. That's really impressive. That really works. The underground stuff, not so much, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. You do get at the very beginning this section play with Olimar rather than the custom character. It may or may not be called Thrill House, depending on how much you love the Bone Storm episode or not. But you got to start with Olimar, and it gives you that the living room sort of play area that we've seen in some of the kind of pre-release info and screenshots and trailers and stuff. And again, that's very much like selling the whole the new kind. Obviously, you could control the camera to a pretty flexible degree, but there's this default to it's going to be lower down than it was previously. We're going to try and concentrate more seemingly on selling the scale of it, that you're this tiny character amongst sort of, familiar recreation of familiar real world things, whether it's the outdoor stuff that Guillaume talked about or the indoor stuff. And you just got, in this first bit, you're just kind of finding, it's like, oh, maybe there's some Pikmin under the sofa, you know? That's actually a thing you do and stuff, and just give you this sort of little glimpse of Olimar with a kind of fully armed and operational non-Ochi, because I guess Ochi is a specific rescue pup, so it's like his own rescue pup, and he's got different types of Pikmin and stuff, and then you go away from Olimar and have the custom character, and then kind of essentially like you're building what I've played so far. You're always building back up to that point, because it's like, okay, well, you get Ochi, but it's not as big or as capable yet as the one that Olimar had, and you're finding you start with one type of Pikmin, the red Pikmin, and then you add more. So I can forgive it for being pretty slow and try to walk you through this stuff, because I mean the Pikmin 3 Deluxe notwithstanding, these games, they don't come out very often. Pikmin 3 debuted 10 years ago or whatever, and then that was nearly 10 years after Pikmin 2. So, and none of them have sold so much that it's, you just know what you're doing. Go on. In some ways, it can be a little bit heavy-handed, I guess, but there's more to it than some Nintendo kind of franchises that have lived this long or longer. So there is more to explain. It's just a case of getting used to some of these new wrinkles with Ochi and stuff. For me, so far, I think one of the things that's really kind of promising about it in terms of just the environmental traversal aspect with Ochi coming in is just this fact of just little kind of elevation changes you can have in the environment now. Like, it doesn't have to be so kind of binary of it's just going to be, it's either kind of flat or it's going to be something that you've got to throw the Pikmin over, because now you've got this whole thing of where you can all kind of bundle onto Ochi and do little jumps. Kind of, without having to actually just throw the Pikmin up onto something and then find some other way of getting up to their level, or just them carrying something down from that level. It does feel like this will affect the construction of the levels and, the kind of, light environmental puzzles that then sort of creates. I think it's a cute concept. I think it's something that's going to work on an immediate level, but it's also going to help freshen up the kind of design that they'll employ. So that looks promising.
Yeah. Yeah, it might, because I just played Pikmin 1 HD not too long ago, and I was frustrated at the Pikmin who can't cross a bridge. So that kind of solves it in a different way, right? Where you just pack them all up onto Ochi, and you carry them up where you want them, and then, that kind of adds a little bit of a platforming aspect to the game, which could be interesting. It did come in handy in that one underground area that I did. And I like Ochi. Ochi's cool. You get him from the beginning. Doesn't have all of his powers yet. Afraid of water, but at some point they explain. You do a few rescues, and then the captain is happy to announce that there's been a breakthrough, as she was trying to get him to take his bath, and now he can swim. So so now
that's how it works. I took a bath and I learned how to swim.
Well, he got over his fear of water, right? So
that's how I got over mine.
That's right. Yeah.
But he could always swim, but then he just had a traumatic experience involving water that then made him unwilling to deploy his skills. But now he's over it. He's back in the game.
Right. Yes. And the demo is maybe more substantial than I expected, because you do get to do a little bit of all the things that we've seen so far in the previews. You do get to spend some currency that you find in game to upgrade your items. So I had the choice to make Ochi impervious to fire, or to make myself impervious to fire, or to create a drone that would let me explore further ahead, with a flying drone instead of having to discover everything by actually getting there. And as you rescue people, you do get what they call pup drive points or something. Anyway, it's the currency basically that you're going to spend to upgrade Ochi's abilities. And so you'll get to make him maybe like chomp harder, so attack enemies more effectively. Maybe speed up his dash. And there was another thing. Oh yeah, carry maybe heavier loads, so that instead of counting like having the strength of 3 Pikmin, he'll have the strength of 5. So yeah, it's like you get to play with that. It's pretty cool. You get to move your base around in the level. You find these suitable spots for your base to land in. And so as you're exploring an area, if you find one of these spots and you clear it of enemies, you can just bring your base to you. And so I guess that means that they're planning to make the levels much larger, and it kind of eliminates the one of the aggravation, I guess, of having trying to get these resources that are at one end of the map and having to wait for your Pikmin to carry it all the way across to the other end. Now this time, maybe your base is much, much closer because you brought it closer to you. So that's kind of cool. I think I lost my train of thought here, but it's a pretty big demo. It ends when you get 1,500 of this one resource. Yeah. So there's a way for you to just be like, you know what? I'm not going to get that resource. I'm just going to keep playing. And so if you want to try to, kind of delay the inevitable and explore the level as much as you can, like there's a way you can get at least up to the yellow Pikmin. I got the ice, yellow, and red Pikmin that allowed me to explore a lot of the level. I didn't find any blue Pikmin. I don't know if they're available on that level. Yeah, so if you want to, since we know that the progress is going to carry to the full game, maybe you want to get all the currency that lets you make upgrades. Maybe you want to find them all.
That's right. Because that's you've got some of those, those kinds of sparkly like crystal type things, and then they can. Almost like sort of similar to upgrades that your Ochi can get, but like I said, he has his own sort of skill point currency. You could get like a pretty big one. Immediately, I was like, "Oh, where's the like sort of charge command for the Pikmin that they introduced in Pikmin 3?" Like that was something I really liked in Pikmin 3. Yeah. So where is that? And then as soon as they started introducing the concept, I bet I'm going to unlock that at some point. May or may not have been in the demo, but it turns out, I can spend, some of these sort of like crystals that I've amassed, to kind of have a special horn or whatever that, your, explorer can use to make the Pikmin charge in that way. Cause you could, early on it introduces you to a charge that Ochi can do, that's very analogous, but just when it's Ochi doing it, it can shatter the kind of cracked plant pots and other obstacles. But you're kind of thinking like, that should be where that command will go, and indeed it is. But I can imagine there'll be other kind of abilities, for commanding or other things about the Pikmin that you'll be able to kind of unlock with that. So it's the kind of slightly more kind of explicit kind of ability progression and how that'll filter into how you kind of explore and gradually kind of master the environment than before, because obviously it was always a case of the Pikmin types, but that was about it. It was, in the older games, really. Now it seems like they're really kind of getting into that a bit more with granularity when you consider you've got the Ochi side of it and then like the Pikmin side of it, and indeed, as you said, like making Olimar or whoever your explorer more like resistant to damage or fire or all these other things. So yeah, it seems like it's got quite a significant kind of increase in scope in some ways compared to the last one.
One of the things that makes the lack of full co-op more galling is that, like starting with Pikmin 2, you had Louis. 3, you had like 3 captains. You could switch between them, and that made the full co-op kind of easier to put in there for Deluxe, I guess. And now, like, you've got this whole story where, like, you're a rescue team and you're going to go get Olimar, and so you would think that it would be like the story just seemed to lend itself to you being able to switch between multiple characters. So, like, of course there's going to be full co-op, but there is not. But the story is, it's pretty amusing, like you're part of a rescue team. Your rescue team ends up being stranded in the same planet as Olimar. And you have to go find the other members of your team. And then you start looking for them, you find a couple of them, and then you stumble upon people who just happen to be there because they also heard Olimar's distress call. And they were like, oh, someone's, on this planet, I should go check it out. And now they're stranded on it. So it's just like, like you've got maybe like dozens of people just now stuck on this planet because of they all heard the distress call. And they thought, hey.
I love the way we've kind of gone from Olimar, to desperately trying to sort of save himself in the first game, and then obviously the second one was like him just like trying to save the company, right? Like, he didn't crash in the second one; they went there on purpose, but
they were desperate.
But now he's just like luring everyone into a trap. Is this like the ship from Alien? Are we going to find Olimar like the bloody space jockey with the huge hole coming out of his chest and all these horrible eggs surrounding him or something? I'm not comfortable with all these people getting drawn into this.
And I'll just end with this personally. I missed the time limit. You still get the day and night cycle, but it seems like that's all you get. There doesn't seem to be any urgency to finish the game, quickly, to find stuff quickly to survive. Pikmin 3 had a much more generous time limit than the first game, of course, or the second one, but they kept you trying to get fruit, which would add to your time limit. Like, okay, like we got a lesser muck bottom, also known as a plum, so that gave us enough juice for 2 more days. We can survive 2 more days. So that was kind of a neat conceit. And here there's just like, well, I guess we'll, try to find everything, but there's no sense that they're in any danger or that that you should hurry. So
yeah.
It's funny because they bring into Pikmin 4 this whole concept of Dendari, which I guess is they explain it in the demo. It's like this basically a skill or the art of organizing to be the most efficient possible or something.
Sure.
And so, so that I think that describes how you should try to play Pikmin 3 very well. I'm less sure about this game.
Yeah, it certainly
doesn't seem like you have to be all that effective.
Well, maybe that's the point. Now it is more of a kind of like you would do it as a matter of like personal discipline rather than actually an imperative that the game sort of issues to you. Because
if it's an extra mode that's added maybe later on in the game. Or,
it'd be interesting if you could have something that was like maybe like an optional like part of the game or something that brought a little bit more of that urgency back. Because I thought the Pikmin 3 thing of essentially being able to sort of make your own time, by finding the fruit and then giving yourself however many days of food that provides, was a good compromise. It wasn't as rigid as the first game. But at the same time, there was this kind of feeling of like you haven't got all the time in the world. You do need to accomplish, if not, truly as much as possible in a given day. You need to accomplish a decent amount, because otherwise you're gonna, essentially go into debt, as far as time goes. So I feel like it's a little bit of a kind of, maybe a miss in terms. I've said this many times. when I played the first Pikmin, I had this weirdly cool experience with the time limit, where I played quite far into it, and I had no real affinity for an RTS type of experience or any of this kind of stuff. Certainly not the Dandori discipline or anything like that as a person in general, and just sort of ambled my way through it, and I felt like, I'm gonna get the not good ending, and we'll go again. But then it came down to the last few days, and it's, I think I can do this. If I do this properly, I can still make it on the last day. And I did, and it was like, this is brilliant. I loved it. So I have this weirdly favourable impression of that sort of whole concept and that constraint, probably than most people did. So I do kind of think that the Pikmin 3 version, which was more relaxed, was just an acceptable compromise. This may be a little bit too light, but I guess if the scope of it all feels so much more like you've got all this stuff to do, maybe I'll be glad of not having a time limit. If it really does feel like, right, these areas are so much bigger, we've got the underground, where that now it's like they say time passes at a sixth of the rate that it does. So
I feel like that was just a throwaway line that didn't make sense. They were trying to make...
Is that an actual Inception reference? I forget what the sort of disparity was. Is it the underground sections are actually a dream? They're not real, but still we get resources out of them in some way. And,
as far as I could tell, the time stops completely, but I guess they were trying to explain why you can still communicate with the outside if you're okay, no, it's moving a sixth of the rate, but it's that's not true. And I guess maybe, I guess the trade-off here, the Pikmin 4 is more about kind of, building up your abilities and kind of building up your you start with 20 Pikmin max. That's really weird, because you've always had 100.
Is
and
it
you can, you can upgrade
RPG mechanics, I guess?
It's again, it's stuff that you find in the world. The Pikmin house, the Pikmin ship is called the Onion. Now you've got basically a garlic bulb that you can find, and when you find one of those, you add 10 to your max Pikmin that you can have outside the Onion.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Do you think that's a case of them thinking, but in past games, the fact that people could, even if they only had, red Pikmin or whatever the first Pikmin type was in a particular game, I think it usually was the red ones, just having, okay, you've only just got one type and you're just learning the game, maybe giving them, the ability to command 100 of them straight away was too much, and we should dial that back and kind of, have smaller, more manageable numbers, and kind of drip feed some other things before we get to the point of, okay, here you go, now you can command 100. I mean, especially because, as you mentioned, with the original Pikmin, the AI and the pathfinding led things to be desired. I do wonder if they feel like some people just got sort of put off trying to command 100 of them relatively early on, when they weren't the easiest to kind of wrangle.
Right. Yeah. Just get people acclimated to controlling, herding 20 Pikmin at a time. And,
definitely feels like you're trying to take a pretty gentle touch here in a bunch of different ways, but certainly, in getting people started with the game, which again, I can understand given the history of the franchise, even though, Pikmin 3 Deluxe did okay. I think we mentioned last week, it's, sold a couple mil or something, so it's not and I mean, let's be honest, I would imagine a lot of the same people are going to be the people who will buy Pikmin 4. I certainly hope that it will be able to exceed that by virtue of being a new game and maybe getting some greater buzz around it, than, just a kind of upgraded release would have done and did years ago. But there's a lot of that constituency is going to be the same, but certainly it's not anything, to this point that's, I found particularly alienating. But some people are, more sensitive to this than others. I remember reading a few things about, Tears of the Kingdom, just like, there's too much talking at the start or whatever. It's probably.
I could have done with a little bit extra talking, so I didn't end up at the fucking end of the world.
Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't go over there. Like, maybe something like that, or maybe that's a waste of your time.
Just somebody going like, "Hey, idiot! Did you notice that all the enemies here are silver?" That was a hint.
It's just
somewhere else.
It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's kind of funny because, of course, Breath of the Wild famously, was the sort of riposte to, the Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, these games that had these very protracted beginnings. And it's like, hey, just go. And then with Tears of the Kingdom, it kind of felt like, well, we did that, and generally people liked it. We think we're a little bit safe and to just put a bit more, cinemas and exposition up front, and even that there's still a bit of like, no, I just want to play a game, which I get it. People do want to get on with it and accomplish what they can in whatever time they have to play games, but hopefully it won't be like too much of a barrier, I guess is what I'm saying. Because with this, because like I said, there's a lot of people that will need to get reacquainted with Pikmin, especially when there are significant differences.
And it's been so long that you think about how many people were essentially not alive when Pikmin 3 came out.
Yeah. And I gotta say, maybe I came on a little bit, I expressed my disappointment right away with certain things, but there are a few things that I really like. I really like the new point of view, like closer to the ground. It does change the feel a lot. Like in Pikmin HD, you can basically put your camera overhead, very, very far away, and like that makes you it gives you a great view of the action, but it makes you very, very removed from it. And here you really can't do that, and so, like, you're basically, like, walking down kind of like a corridor, and you see, like, your little Pikmin that you sent to dig at this pile of this one resource. Like, they're going back to your ship. You're crossing their path, and it's like, oh, hey, guys. Like, you're like, right there at the same level as them. That's really cool. And Ochi is a very good dog. I don't know what we did to deserve him, but he's a very good dog. And I did, unfortunately, get him taken out once by an enemy. Thankfully, he doesn't die. I know. I felt bad. But he gets sent back to base. He takes a nap, and then he's fine. So, just out of commission for a little bit, but all is good.
That's tough to keep a good boy down. Yeah.
And I guess, of course, with this, I mean, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I guess they had, like, some kind of accommodations for the fact that, okay, the kind of Wii Remote and, like, gamepad control scheme wasn't going to be the default anymore. Although, because they had some accommodations even on Wii U, when they did that patch for the touch screen controls, in Pikmin 3 for sort of enable off-TV play, essentially. But with this, now, sort of more, from the ground up, thinking about a conventional control scheme. Just in these very gentle early stages, it's like, okay, well, we've got a lot of like sticky aim, essentially, with, you kind of just, if your cursor kind of glides across something that a Pikmin can, attach to and bring down, whether it's an enemy or one of those pellets, it just sticks to it very quickly, and then it's, it's pretty easy, so it's not like it's like particularly a problem aiming with it, because it was very nice using the pointer to aim, on the original version of Pikmin 3. And so you don't have that here. And in these early stages, I doubt it would ever really be a problem because it's not terribly advanced. It's not like some, kind of hard boss with like a particular weak spot that you've like precisely got to hit or, but, that generally, so we have to see with some of that kind of stuff, like as it advances, how well this scheme fares, and having not had like any long kind of experience with Pikmin 3 Deluxe myself, I don't know how the accommodations there worked, but you'd expect it to be better here because it's from the ground up with this in mind as the kind of default. But B, I guess we'll just have to see how well it fares, but like the sticky aim seems like a decent functioning so far.
Cool. All right. Well, anything else y'all wanted to touch on while we await the actual game coming out?
You mean like more new business, or?
Well, no. I mean a Pikmin 4.
No, I mean I don't know. Go play the demo.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I just wanted to see if there's anything else y'all want to touch on. Like I said, I really only just got to boot it up, so I have no idea.
I could keep nitpicking.
Sure,
but I don't think anyone wants
demo.
that.
It's a demo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. So I would say then that we'll defer on the quality of this game to John Lindemann, our Pikmin expert. And
the series is as good as it's ever been, James.
Wow.
Are he's just that good, people. He's just that good. John Lindemann is as good as he's ever been.
That's right.
God damn it. All right, anyway. So I'll do a little bit of new business. I don't have a ton. I've been dealing with a couple things and trying to get shit squared away. It's been taking me a little while, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there now, and then hopefully getting shit back together. And I've been watching a lot of baseball because the Reds are actually fun to watch.
They're actually good. It's amazing. Even though the Braves still did take 2 of 3, I gotta say.
They did. But we had a rookie put the cycle up on y'all, and that should just be embarrassing. He's been in the league 15 games, and you gave up a cycle. That should be embarrassing.
And it was the first red cycle in like 30 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, and to be fair, he nearly did it like in like his first week, didn't he?
Yeah, like game 3.
And then he just give it another couple of weeks or whatever, and then he did do it. So
you know what the record for most cycles in a career is? It's 3.
Yeah, that feels under threat, doesn't it? Right about
he almost had 2
when you nearly do
days.
2 in your first month. It feels like that is very in peril.
Records in baseball that only have 3 as the career record, where there's literally tens of thousands of careers have been played. This is a very low record. It's extremely low.
Mm-hmm.
But I've actually
the
been
thing
playing...
is, it's not easy to hit a triple in the small park.
No, you have to be incredibly fast.
Yeah, so I mean, that won't help him in some ways. If he played in a more spacious ballpark, then the speed, because the triple is going to be the hardest part normally.
Right.
That's what we think of.
And I don't know if it counts if you get it on an error. So
that's like a 2 bases plus 1 error, isn't it, rather than an actual triple,
which would suck. So I've been playing some Shovel Knight, and not the new Shovel Knight content that just. Did you know new Shovel Knight content came out? Did y'all know that new fresh Shovel Knight content came out this week?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So let me go pull the specifics. For this stuff. So Seren sent it to me, and I actually was not planning to do this, but it came up. There is let's go to Yacht Club Games Twitter account. That's not the one I want. I don't want your paid internship. I'm good. Where was it? That's Pocket Dungeon. So I have been playing the Shovel Knight game that they made available on Netflix. So on the 26th, for the Shovel Knight's 9th birthday, that game's 9 years old, they released free DLC called The Shovel King Dig Fate and Fortune. I have not gotten a chance to check it out yet. But,
is this something just for So this is the Netflix version of the old Shovel Knight game?
that is for Shovel Knight Shovel Knight.
Okay.
But I have been playing, regardless of that. So I had been playing the Shovel Knight Well, let me look at the actual full name of the stupid thing. The Shovel Knight. Come on. The name is so long it doesn't fit on any Android screen.
New Shovel Knight DX.
Yeah. So and this is Shovel Knight Poe is all I've got right now on screen. Thank you. I think it's called Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon is the full name of the game. And it is available via the Netflix if you have a subscription, and it's bad is my immediate description. So it is a run-based game where you go through what look like a standard block puzzle game where the blocks are falling from the ceiling, except the blocks are enemies. There are also blocks because it's a block falling game. And your various knights have to clear enemies. And if they're touching each other, they'll combo. So you hit one enemy, and it'll damage all the enemies of that same type that are touching. But they'll also damage you. So you have health, and they have health. And so there are run-based mechanics that will let you increase your health for that run. And every knight has a different set of skills, so Shield Knight's in there, and Shield Knight takes less damage. There are weapons you can pick up that have temporary usage, but you can only hold one, that change how your attacks go. So some of them might increase your defense, some of them might increase your attacks, and them might make you invulnerable to things on the ground that will hurt you if you walk over them. Some give you extra reach on your attack. And so the goal is to clear as many enemies as you can in combos because that gets you money. You could then use money to go inside one of Chester's chests, if you play Shovel Knight, you know who I'm talking about, and buy other upgrades that are basically better than the ones you're going to find in the field. Or you can buy health upgrades and stuff like that. And as you go through this single-player run, you will eventually get to fights with the other knights from the game and unlock them as playable characters. I've never made it past like round 6 or 7, mostly because I get bored. So basically the gameplay is you swipe in a cardinal direction, up, down, left, right, and the knight you're playing will move one grid space over in that direction. So already swiping to move is kind of shitty because it means your thumb is likely to be in the way. But to attack, you just keep swiping. And that causes your character to bounce against the thing they're attacking. Some enemies will knock you backwards, some enemies you can knock backwards, but basically speaking, you just keep swiping with your finger until the enemies die. And then your goal at the end of every stage is, there's essentially a progress bar at the top of the stage, and every 25% a chest drops. And then when the bar gets to 100%, a door drops. And you have to collect keys that also fall, and use them to open either the chests or the door. You have to open a door by the end of the stage to get out, or eventually, basically, the ceiling starts to collapse on you, and if you're not out of the stage by then, you lose. If you die, if your character runs out of health, you drop all your loot, because again, it's a run-based game, and they just look like the bags floating there from Shovel Knight, and your character respawns after a window at the top of the screen, so more enemies will come down quickly, and then you will spawn at the top. And it burns clock towards the ceiling coming down and crushing you. This game's not any good. It's kind of surprisingly not good. And considering I didn't pay for it, like, whatever. But it just kind of made me
yeah, I mean, this is part of Netflix's big push into gaming, right? Like, this is supposed to be what they've spent all this money on, right?
Yeah, so I talked about... Johnny talked about Point B about a year and some change ago, and I actually played it about a year ago.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wonder Putt is just weird. It's fine, I guess, but weird is the default. They have fucking balloons. Remember balloons from like way back on like the Wii? Where it's a game where you throw shit and pop balloons? Yeah, they have that. They have SpongeBob Get Cooking, which they dared to call a simulation game. Terranil is supposed to be artsy good. They have World of Goo, which, what year is this? Exploding Kittens on your phone, no thank you. Oxenfree, hey, there's a game, but you can play that on anything. A bunch of games that are tied to their brands, like Stranger Things.
Yep.
They have a Reigns set in China. I like Reigns. I reviewed one of the Reigns games on Switch. They have Into the Breach. That's a good game. Again, it didn't originate here. They have a game based on Narcos, which I'm.
This is just a guy sitting on a swing,
more or less.
Yeah.
They have Spiritfarers here again. Like, I don't know that I'd want to play Spiritfarer on my phone. That seems unpleasant. Same with there's a Valiant Hearts game again, but like a lot of these are these narrative games, or they're just like. I don't want to use the word shitty, but uninspired puzzle games.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of them. Like I'm still fucking scrolling.
Yeah.
But like I never look at these and go, I need to play that. That seems like. And the other thing that's weird about it is they do a terrible job making them look appealing. So on the screen, all you get is a square image that's just like a mobile app icon. So there's a game called Too Hot to Handle, Love is a Game. And it's a picture of the midriff of a man and a woman who are both very fit in swimwear, proximity close to each other, but neither of them have any arms. This is like one step from Miami Nights shit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. And then when you look at it and you actually open it up, you realize it's actually Miami Nights shit because it's a bunch of avatars that look really bad.
Well, it seems like maybe Too Hot to Handle is a show on Netflix too.
It is.
It's on the 6th season. Okay.
Yeah, it's time. Mix and mingle with sexy singles and they really could have made that rhyme. Mix and mingle with sexy singles, competing for your affection in the game based on the hit series. Will you go for love or give in to temptation? Modes single player. Customize your look. Discover the scandal. Be naughty or nice. Win the prize. Break the rules. Multiple love stories. Connect with characters.
Yep.
Her hand brushes against your skin. You feel an electric spark. Plus 40 hearts.
Very realistic.
There's in the naughty or nice one, Helena everyone's in bathing suits all the time, which is weird. But she's also got a shawl on. Says, "Tell me now." And your choices to respond to her are, "Who's ready to party?" Kissing emoji. You didn't wait for me? Angel emoji. Why are you all so hot? Devil emoji. John, this is a game for you. You should download this right now.
I would play it respectfully, James.
I do a full review. It says it's for mature audiences only, and I don't know anybody more mature than you, John.
Hey, this is true. This is true.
I don't understand their games initiative.
Yeah,
I really
don't
don't
either. This always makes me wonder about how this stuff gets pitched and greenlit. You know,
I mean, the thing is, like, Transformers game based on their show. Like,
it's the kind of thing where it's just I look at it like on paper, maybe it makes sense. Like, it sounds good. Hey, let's get into games. It's just like, let's gamify something. You know? It sounds good.
If you could launch the games from their app, that might be an improvement.
Yeah.
But I have to so if you, alright, let's get fucking Solitaire. Let's get fucking Solitaire. I could get Solitaire on my phone. I click Get Game, and it launches the Google Play Store.
Mm-hmm.
And it wants me to download an app called Classic Solitaire Netflix, in all caps.
Yeah.
And then you get Solitaire, and it verifies your account every time you boot it up. It's got a 4.9 rating. Nick gives it a 2-star. He says, serviceable but annoyed by the dumb features. Every time I get stuck, there's an obtrusive, quote, "Gee, it sounds like you're struggling with this one. Do you want to know how to solve it?" So Nick not a fan.
Nick is he's a tough man to please.
Nick's not feeling this Solitaire, and I don't blame him. I think it looks kind of shitty. Let's look at the reviews for Shovel Knight Puzzle Dungeon, because I just don't think it's any good. I don't. oh, I can't get the game because it knows I've already got it downloaded. I mean, it looks nice. I will give it that. It does look nice.
I mean, I can look it up on my phone.
I'm gonna go look at Knittens, Knittens, which sounds like a fucking Ubisoft game. Guess what Knittens is? It's a match 3 puzzle game with cats. Making this cat is pogging at me, Guillaume. In a cowboy hat.
Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon has a 3.3 star rating on the Google Play Store.
That seems correct.
Yeah.
Knittens has a 3.9. So, Brad Hitchcock writes, so this game is fun, period. Netflix involvement means there's no ads or no microtransactions. No microtransactions. This game is great, except the game was clearly designed with microtransactions in mind, and the latter difficulty is so hard it makes the game unplayable. Remember, Brad gave this a 1 out of 5.
And he says, Netflix involvement, with the fact that you're paying $15 a month for this stuff.
Yeah. Hold on. So Brad gave this a 1 out of 5. He can't beat these levels because it expects there to be microtransactions to help you get over them. This is what all the fucking King games do, where eventually they just get so hard that they don't expect you to beat them. I am on level 1,239, and I have attempted to beat it roughly 200 times. You've made some of these levels so hard without buying extra turns, not possible with the skimpy amount of free gems, that I'm just going to have to give up the game. Fix it, please. He gave this game a 1, but he's played 1,300 levels of it.
It's like, you are not the target audience.
Brad, please. I'm begging for your family's sake. For your family's sake, I am begging you, Brad.
He's like Brad, the outlier in the different direction. He's not the whale. He's like, I don't know.
He wants to pay.
He's like the minnow.
He's mad that he can't give them more money so that he can beat the stage. Like they're like, no whales, please. And he is standing here saying, no, I would like to whale.
This is like the people that when I was playing Diablo Immortal, these are the people where they would proudly say, I've spent $15,000 on this game.
Oh yeah.
Like $18,000. Like these are people and I completely believe them.
Oh no, I agree.
Because just some people have some people have a lot of money and they have a lot of free time and a lot of money that they just don't care about. So, yeah.
All right. So I'm looking at World of Goo Remastered. Andrew Nelson writes on yesterday, I own this game on Android, paid for it. Luckily, I still have the APK, but it's absolutely disgusting that its tied to Netflix version has replaced the original on the Play Store. Netflix Incorporated responds, hey there, this is World of Goo Remastered, a modernized version of the original classic. You can always re-download the classic version you purchased by following these instructions if you happen to own it. And then it links to a Google support page.
It's good stuff.
Oh, man. So apparently World of Goo Remastered is not good. It's sitting at a 2.5. Also, for whatever reason, it's tagged as positive reviews. I'm like,
Well, I don't know. Is it because it's not good or because it's review bomb because Netflix?
I mean, other Netflix games aren't that. It's the lowest one I've seen so far. So, Exploding Kitten's also sitting at a rousing 2.6. I really want to play this game.
Sounds like the Netflix games division is just on a roll.
A scam.
on a roll down the hill.
Well, you know
into hell.
I can give you one perk though. Netflix launched the unauthorized American Gladiators documentary almost the same day that ESPN launched a 2-part ESPN 30 for 30 on the American Gladiators that is authorized. So, John, which one are you going to watch?
It's a tough call.
Like,
I don't know.
You know the authorized one's not going to deal with the horse steroids.
Right.
Yeah. So, Guillaume, you laugh, but some of these people were WCW talent.
Yeah,
they were definitely shooting up with horse steroids.
Yeah, it's not going to deal with Nitro's alcoholism, right?
No.
Okay, I need to look up what American Gladiators is, because isn't it like the people with the giant Q-tips?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the gladiators were giants. Like, they were massive muscle freak shows.
Yeah, they were giant bodybuilder freak shows.
Yeah, but
the thing is,
WCW in the 80s, like, holy shit.
But with American Gladiators, there was never any. It was never scandal ridden
that we know of.
You know what I mean? It's like
maybe they did a good job burying it.
It's like I don't know.
Maybe if you go watch these 2 documentaries, you'll find out that actually American Gladiators has lots of bodies that they've buried in the giant ball pit for adults.
Maybe.
Netflix now.
Maybe that's where Jimmy Hoffa wound up. Who knows?
Netflix is for mediocre games, true crimes documentaries, and shows about American Gladiators. That's where we're at. Give it to me. That's what I need. But yeah, really, I just wanted to mention that Yacht Club launched fucking DLC for the 9th anniversary of Shovel Knight. Speaking of mobile games that aren't doing so hot, I did want to touch on this. So, Guillaume, there was a Pikmin Bloom content, wasn't there?
Yeah, barely. I mean, like, the game, of course, is always renewing itself. Although now it's been recycling. It's been recycling.
The virtuous cycle, Guillaume.
Has it been reducing as well? Reusing?
No, it's been kind of reusing some of the costumes that you could unlock. They're trying new things, I guess. They're giving you a new shot at getting old costumes. I don't know what this means. If they've been unable to get people to pay money to unlock costumes and stuff.
Mobile games will do that sometimes, where it's like, we don't really have a costume to put in the slot right now, so we're just going to bring back really old ones that most of our user base wasn't around for.
Right. So anyway, if you finish the Pikmin 4 demo, you get that 1500 energy thing. Then you can get instructions on how to get a costume in Pikmin Bloom. So I redeemed that, and so now my me has this costume of a guy in an astronaut suit. The pants of the suit are Ochi, basically. It's like
very
one of those,
unsettling.
Yeah, it's one of the it's one of those weird Halloween costumes where the bottom part is a different thing, like a
man riding an ostrich, essentially.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but your legs are the ostrich legs. That's what you get. It's kind of cute. I got a nice red Pikmin beanie to go with that, and so I don't know.
I did want to bring this up because just today they being Niantic announced massive layoffs. And they're going to refocus on Pokemon Go.
Yeah, they closed their LA studio and laid off 230 people.
I can't say I'm too surprised, because when they closed, what was it called? World of Wizards? The Harry Potter Pokemon Go-esque thing? I knew that somewhere Pikmin was in chopping block.
So I don't know if they've announced Pikmin. I know they announced some initiatives that they were going to cancel. John, do you have that list handy by any chance?
I do not, but oh god, I just read the article about an hour ago.
I know, so did I.
I can't recall.
NBA and Marvel initiatives were canceled.
Yeah, they got rid of NBA All World. Was that one? They shut that down for sure. Not that I'd ever heard of that game. I say that like I've heard of it. I've never heard of that game.
And apparently there was a Marvel one that I'd also never heard of.
Yeah.
So Pikmin Bloom survives another day. But
of course they have Monster Hunter Now coming out. So I think the 4 ongoing ones is ongoing games that they have are, of course, Pokemon Go, Monster Hunter Now, and there's one called Peridot, I think, and then Pikmin Bloom.
Ingress should still be alive, right?
Well, yeah.
Which I don't know how much they're putting into that these days.
Yeah.
Something tells me that Pikmin Bloom is safe until Pikmin 4 comes out, and then start the counter.
Mm-hmm.
I do like all the costumed Pikmin you just sent us, though. That's something.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing that was reported was that Pokemon Go, I guess in April, it had its worst month ever. Worst month in 5 years since it launched effectively. Niantic,
it's been around a long time at this point.
Yeah, Niantic, they admitted that it was a bad month, but they said its spending is up year over year. I guess. So
Boy, that almost makes it sound worse. I
know, right? Like,
hey, our spending is up, but this month is lower than last year. Wait, what?
Yeah, apparently this is from some I don't know if they're kind of like a service platform or something called App Magic.
Yes,
but I just thought it was funny because Niantic said they were quote unquote incorrect, but they still had a bad month. You know what I mean? So it's like they say it was something like they only made 34.7 million. And it's like, that could very well be, oh yeah, well, we actually made 34.8 million, but it was still terrible.
Fuckers.
But technically they're incorrect. You know, kind of like trying to throw shade at them while probably also kind of admitting that they were terrible results.
They could be incorrect and the results are worse too.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
By the way, since we're on the topic, I'm going to curse you with this. I cannot think of the name Niantic without singing basically to the tune of the Pixies' Gigantic.
I will watch the other Horus trailer, Guillaume. Don't make me do it. We're sitting. Seren apparently messaged me mid-podcast in the Discord saying, hey, there's a just hey, James, and then linking to a Japanese everybody 1-2 switch. And Guillaume has declared we are at our horse quota. So
there's nothing new in there anyway. It's just cut footage like to make basically the Japanese TV ad.
Oh.
Like it's the same footage from the influencer event that we've all seen and appreciated.
Appreciated is a word. It's not. I'm not sure it's a word that's germane in this conversation, but it is definitely a word that exists in the English language. All right, so we're gonna take a break. When we come back, John's gonna talk about Final Fantasy 16. That's a tease, so you should stick around to hear about Final Fantasy 16. We are back, and John, you promised us some Final Fantasy. Well, I promised on your behalf some Final Fantasy 16. So tell me, you've been playing Final Fantasy 16. It came out about a week ago. How much time you put into it?
I think I've put in some considerable time. I'm probably 20 hours into it.
Okay.
I think I've opened up the vast majority of systems in the game at this point.
Okay.
So I've seen quite a bit of it. Seen quite a bit of the major plot points. If I were to guess, I'm probably about maybe a quarter of the way through, if I were to guess. Just based on kind of what's going on in the world and sort of the major, you always have like major bosses or major things, it's like you have to find the 4 crystals of light sort of thing in every Final Fantasy game. Based on where I'm at in that, I'm probably about a quarter of the way through. Maybe a little bit more. But yeah, this is, so I'm enjoying this game for several reasons. So the way that this game is structured is, let me take you back to Final Fantasy XV and tell you why I didn't like that game. I didn't like it. I never stuck with it because it didn't really feel like a Final Fantasy game to me, because it was just 4 bros driving around the desert in a Cadillac.
You had to watch a movie first to understand what they were doing.
Yes. It was just very weird. Didn't feel like a Final Fantasy game at all. Final Fantasy XVI is much more traditional in the sense of being in line with what the rest of the series does. So this is, kind of swords and sorcery, dragons, castles, dukes.
Fantasy settings.
Duchesses. Yes, it's very, very fantasy setting. So that instantly I like that a heck of a lot more. It doesn't try to be outside the box, doesn't try to be some sort of steampunk kind of weird sort of thing or anything like that. So that immediately, endeared it to me.
Okay, but when do you get the convertible?
There's no convertible so far. The game is convertible-less. You do ride chocobos, but no convertibles so far.
Convertible chocobos?
Not yet, apparently. So, but in terms of the way the game is structured, this game has been, I think, kind of controversial amongst the Final Fantasy hardcore because of the way that the battles are structured. So, in general, the way the game is, it's almost kind of like... It reminds me a little bit of Monster Hunter in the sense that, it's not one large open contiguous world or anything like that. It's not really an open world game, but it's more, you have an overworld map, and there's various locations on the map, and you zone into them, and you're in a large area, but eventually you will meet the bounds of that area, at which point you go back to the overworld map or you warp out. So, even though it is a fairly open world, it's not contiguous. Now, the battles are, so you're running around, like if there's a town that you have to go to in one large area, there might be a couple of towns. So as part of the quests, and you have a main campaign quests, and then you have various side quests that you can pick up at each place you visit. And there's other stuff too that you can do, like monster bounties and things like that they open up a little bit later once you've done a bunch of stuff. But you encounter these monsters out there. You can avoid them if you want. But if you fight them, the battles kind of remind me of Final Fantasy XIV. For people that have played Final Fantasy XIV, there's a lot of that. I get a lot of Final Fantasy XIV vibes off of it, where you're fighting something out in the open world.
Aren't some of the same people involved in this game?
Probably, because that would not surprise me, because it has a lot of that Final Fantasy XIV feel to it. But the battles are, I would say, they're kind of they've been compared to Devil May Cry kind of thing, where they're all action. There's no turn-based anything, and a lot of it is predicated on dodging. So dodging monster attacks, small monsters or bosses, they all have attacks that you can dodge. And then of course you can do counterattacks, you can do combos, you can hit enemies in the air. You of course you have kind of like ultimate attacks. Later on, I mean, you eventually get you get super attacks. I'll say that. If you've played a Final Fantasy game before, you know what I'm talking about. Summons. Think of the summons that you have had in past Final Fantasy games. They're all there. But that's been controversial, because people are like, well, this just feels really weird for a Final Fantasy game, and this is very much more an action game than other Final Fantasy games in the series. But that being said, it doesn't really bother me, and because they let you tailor the difficulty of the game quite a bit. When you boot the game up, one of the first things it asks you is whether or not you want the game to be story focused or action focused. Action focused is apparently maybe a little more difficult. I have a feeling that, I haven't switched over to story focused, but I bet you that it just kind of skips through the battles, probably almost in a tourist kind of mode.
I'll be honest, I really don't want action battles from this series, and Final Fantasy XV's combat system sucked, and if you don't think that, you're a stupid person who should have no opinions ever.
I wasn't a huge fan of it.
I held the attack button and actually beat the final boss. I didn't do anything. I just held the attack button.
Oh, yeah, and this is very much in that vein where the
and that proves you're wrong if your opinion's different than mine.
Well, the action is, it's very spammy. Very spammy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and I think what I appreciate about this game is that it doesn't drown you in systems for the sake of systems. This game is quite linear in the way it's presented. You are going you go to a new town for a campaign quest, you cash that quest in, you pick up a new quest, you do some stuff around that town, maybe do a couple side quests, and then you're on to the next place. And you move from location to location. It's all fairly linear. Like I said, it opens up a little bit more, but a lot of that stuff is visit this place you've already gone to and do something additional. For more, you have the way you build out your character. There's not a whole lot of gear. Your character, you have a sword, you basically have a sword, a waist piece, and like a bracelet. And then you have 3, kind of like necklace sort of slots that you can equip, right? And for rings or necklaces or stuff like that, right? And that's it. That's it. That's the entirety of your gear. So you don't have to worry about your build or anything like that. It's just, you get an upgrade to your sword, you craft it. There is some kind of light crafting in it as well. It keeps that stuff to a minimum. But I appreciate that. After playing games like Diablo 4 and other RPGs where it's just, you're just constantly like, you have just a ton of inventory. This is very brisk. It's very condensed. Really, the focus in this game is not on your character build, not really on your party, even though you do have a party. You have characters that go in and out. Really, the focus in this game is on the story, and the story is actually quite interesting. Obviously, very influenced by Game of Thrones. There's a lot of political intrigue, different armies, different factions. One of the main conceits in the game is that, the summons that you have, such as like Rama, Ifrit, etc., they are linked to a certain person. So, in other words, a person, only one person can summon Ifrit, can summon Rama, or whatever. So, within the story, these people are politically important, extremely powerful, and part of sort of the head of the army. They typically align themselves with a faction in the game. And so those factions play off of each other. These people develop grudges against each other. And they're often the ones that are called on to turn the tide of a battle. So you'll see, and this was one of the things, the presentation in this game is fantastic. It looks great. And you have these sort of kaiju style battles where it's, they're called icons in this case, Eikon. And so that's all of the, Typhon, Ifrit, Rama, Ultima, all those kind of characters. They're icons. And so you have normal battles where you will have the main character, Clive Rosfield, fighting normal monsters, but then the boss battles typically are these huge kind of monster battles between you and versus another icon. And they're really, really well done. It really, really looks good. But yeah, definitely the battles are pretty spammy. And as you defeat icons, you sort of absorb their powers and can equip different icon powers, right? So, Garuda, for example, is like the power of wind. So when you defeat Garuda, you can equip that icon's powers, and you get a bunch of wind-based attacks that you can then level up. You get ability points as you go through the game, and you can choose where to spend those. Most of these attacks have 2 or 3 different levels. So light kind of character building. But like I said, the focus is on the story, and they do some interesting stuff. They have what they call the active time lore system, which means that anywhere you are in the game, you can bring up
bullshit right there.
It is. It's bullshit, but it's an interesting way to look at it's an interesting way to look at the lore book concept, because anywhere in the game, you can bring up kind of a contextual menu of where you are. You can get a description of it, kind of who you're talking to, like who is sort of the main antagonist in that area, or person maybe you're going to try to go see, or something like that. And also kind of where you're at in the story. But then also, you can view the story itself up to this point in 2 different ways. You can look at it along an interactive timeline. So you go to a vendor, and you have like kind of a home base, and you go to a vendor in your home base, which is the express purpose of this character, this NPC, is just to give you the state of the game, kind of the state of the realm. That's a big thing, because a lot of this game is about, oh, well, this army took over this army's territory, and so that leaves this area over here exposed, and so there's a lot of that going on. So what armies are where at any given time, plot-wise, is a big deal, and so they give you a lot of different tools to figure that out. So just in terms of the characters in the game, of course, you have a full list of characters with a backstory for that character, but also you can go to that character, you can view a profile for that character, and you can see how that character, there's a different write-up for each place in the timeline of the story for that character. So this character, when this character was young, they did this when you first met them, and then at this point in the story, this happened to them, and then this happened to them, and you can see the entire timeline for a character, the evolution of an entire character over a timeline, and also how those characters interact with each other. where they came into the story. So at the very start, it's just Clive and a couple of other people. But then as the story gets more complex and other armies come in and factions and different characters, it gets more and more complex to where it's more of a, Xenoblade style affinity map kind of thing. And then you can also look at how your party, you can also look at the different interactive timeline where you can scroll it across and you can see where your party was at when, and then where other armies were at that time and stuff like that. So it's really cool. They've put a lot of effort into presenting the story and making sure that you can track, that where characters have been, what they're doing right now, who they're allied with, and all that kind of stuff.
What are they doing right now, John?
I heard the feature compared to the that X-ray thing on Amazon, their video service.
It's quite a bit like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And it's impressive. It's really, really cool. This game is incredibly polished. I haven't even come across anything approaching a bug at this point. Which for a game of this scale, it's big, is really impressive. I haven't even come across so much as a typo in anything. And there is a ton of text in this game.
I like that this is from the same company that I just recently came back across my write-up from the Voice of Cards, where they left the outtakes of the dialogue in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is the same publisher.
Yeah,
same but in one game there's not even a fucking typo. In the other one, a game where the only storytelling mechanic is the narration, they left in outtakes.
Yeah.
Just because they couldn't be bothered to cut them out.
Yeah.
So I guess they're intakes, I guess is the answer to that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and for the battle stuff, it's fine. Like, I don't necessarily care about being an expert in Final Fantasy XVI combat. One of the things that they do is they give you a choice of rings. So the ring I equipped that affect battle in some ways. So the ring that I equipped just to smooth out battle is the Ring of Timely Focus, which effectively turns battles into a little bit. It kind of inserts quick time events if you miss a dodge. So if you miss a dodge, whereas if you miss the dodge normally, you can still get hit. It's not that you can't get hit, because if you really mistime things, the enemy will still hit you. But whenever an enemy does an attack that could hit you, that you can dodge, it shows a little circle on the screen that that counts down like 3, 2, 1, and you have to hit the dodge button. It basically gives you an extra opportunity to dodge where you would get hit otherwise. And so that just makes battles, frankly, really easy. But I'm perfectly okay with that, because the last thing I want from this game, with the amount of battles that you get into, are long, tedious battles where I'm dying. I have yet to die in the game. I will eventually, I'm sure, fighting some of the later icons, because those battles get pretty crazy. What they also tend to do is they tend to throw new mechanics at you in the middle of a battle. So they'll say, okay, well, with this particular icon, you have a dodge that you then have to use in that battle. But as soon as that dialogue goes away, you're like, what the hell was that dodge again? Kind of thing. But so that's almost got me a couple times. But those battles are super fun. So this game, it's the kind of game you can just tailor it so it's really not too difficult, and you just play through the story and enjoy it. Right now, lending itself to strengthening the argument that it's more of an action game than a role-playing game is the fact that you can replay. They have kind of a score attack mode where you can replay parts of the game and try to get the best score on it. And as you go through the game, it adds stages to the number of stages that you have available.
Is the top score 4S? They call it sexy?
No. What, like you thinking like Bayonetta?
I was thinking more like Devil May Cry, but yeah.
No, but it's like that. It's like that, where you get scored, and you can choose whether or not you have your dog, you have a canine companion, Torgal, who also is a very good boy. And you can pet the dog in this game. You can have him you can control him and have him attack enemies as well.
But can you wear him as pants in a mobile tie-in?
No, you can't, but I wouldn't put it past Square Enix at any given point.
Oh no, this will happen. There will be a mobile tie-in.
If we're talking about Square Enix, I wouldn't be surprised if there was actually a literal physical item of clothing that lets you do that with Torgal.
That's true, but it's also $13,000.
Yes,
exactly.
When you say it's like Game of Thrones, I bet they don't have the balls to like decapitate the dog and stick its head on the body of one of the main characters you've been watching for 3 years and have them parade it around for fun.
Well, that is actually the origin story of Horace Showpony.
There you go.
Only something that cursed and horrid.
So dark.
I mean, that's why he wears the outfit now. It's the only way he can stay alive mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's funny though because the overworld map looks exactly like the opening of Game of Thrones. It looks just like it.
They weren't even slightly trying to hide it.
No,
is it like a minor pitch shifted version of the main theme? Is the game's music?
Yeah, it's funny, but I mean it's good. It's like the way I've been describing it. It's just a solid game. It's really done, really well done, really polished. And again, I'm not playing it super seriously. I'm not trying to make it incredibly hard for myself. I'm just playing through it, and I'm enjoying it. So it's just funny because first I was playing Tears of the Kingdom. I pushed that aside for Diablo 4, then I pushed Diablo 4 aside for Final Fantasy 16, and so once that's done, I'm probably going to go back to Diablo 4 and then back to Tears of the Kingdom. So it's just
we're never going to get to do a Tears of the Kingdom spoiler cast.
It's just too many games.
John Lindemann will prevent that forever.
Well, I don't know how much I have to say about Tears of the Kingdom aside from that. It's really annoying, but anyways.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, because I'm fairly confident Greg and I are going to strike a fairly different position, so, like, you being around for that would be beneficial.
Yeah. It's fine. I mean, it's a good game. What am I going to say? It's a good game. It's solid.
I mean, we could explore the it's really annoying part. Not here, because this isn't the episode for that. We're going to record that episode in 2026, but... Yep.
Well, it's really a question of how sensitive John is to spoilers. I mean, if he doesn't mind us just vomiting like every single detail into his ears, then it's fine.
I think there's some stuff that it would be a bummer if it was just told to you.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
There's some. I mean, you've already seen one of them,
mm-hmm.
which is mind-blowingly stupid, but also like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But so does this in this game? Does that happen to anybody? Because it should. And you know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know, but yeah, things happen. The plot of this game, there is some epic stuff happens in this game.
Some epic stuff.
I will say that.
Box quote Lindemann here.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You're like, wow. They actually went there. Put that
sticker on the cover.
They actually went there. No, but it's good. I mean, it's a good game. It's the kind of game like you just play it and you just play through it. You know, you don't have to put too much thought into it. It's just basically you just go through and the battles are just straight button mashing.
I need. Okay, that's fair.
I mean, that's the I'm trying because obviously it's got plenty in common with Devil May Cry and all that, but I struggle to imagine a DMC game where you have played for however many hours. I mean, it wouldn't be that many hours because it wouldn't have the amount of RPG stuff or the narrative stuff, but just X% into the game and not have died once. That does sound like a sort of strange balance to try and strike to sort of emphasize the combat and yet seemingly, also not want to, alienate people because you probably, I assume, I don't know very much about the game because I've not been following it very closely, but I would assume the concern would be that when you are prioritizing the narrative as much as Final Fantasy games, have done for a long time, if people are going to start getting stuck on like a particular boss battle or so, it's like for reasons of skill rather than for reasons of like you can always go and grind and kind of just overcome it with brute force. That would be too disruptive to the flow of the narrative.
Yeah. I mean, grinding isn't even a thing in this game. It's just not even a concept really in this game. It's you just go from place to place and. You know, like at no point have I ever been underleveled because, you know, you sort of like kill this enemy and you get the next set of upgrades and then you just keep going. So, yeah. But, and also the fact that, you know, I think the battles are not meant to be the be all end all of the game because I think the intent is, okay, well, if you want a real challenge, then you can go into this other separate mode and try to like attack this as much as you can.
That presumably is where it's more like a DMC or a Platinum, a Beautiful Joe Clover, whatever, kind of game where it's like we're going to actually test your ability at this stuff more sort of rigorously.
And I certainly would have died up to this point if I didn't have the kind of the sort of quick time freeze ring.
Well,
100%.
That's the point, isn't it? I guess is that I assume that's why that's there. It's to cut down on the amount of game overs that people would have experienced.
Yeah, and like some battles definitely would have been pretty frustrating if I didn't have that. But it's a lot of the kind of attacks you're dealing with. It's like either somebody shooting at you or somebody dropping, like kind of like doing like the sort of explosion kind of thing where you have to, kind of run away and dodge that. I mean, there's a lot of, an enemy will have a giant hammer and it'll start, doing, swinging it around. And so you have to dodge and then dodge again and again and again and again. And eventually then it opens itself up and then you do a counterattack sort of thing. But it's good. I mean, I'm enjoying it again. It's just, you don't have to think too hard and this game is really straightforward, but it looks really pretty. And the characters are very. It's just a very popcorn game, and I'm fine with that right now.
Just how you said it, but it's very pretty. It's like
it's a very pretty game.
John Lindemann brain has turned off.
But it is. It's a very much a game where you turn your brain off. But I will say it's funny. They have a graphics mode and a frame rate mode. I don't think the frame rate mode is the frame rate mode is not like a totally rock solid 60 frames per second. And not saying it's bad or even that it chugs, but it's just weird because if you're
going to make a mode called on a console, no less.
Yeah, well, it's weird, right? Because when you turn the camera, like when you move the camera around, there's just like the slightest little hitch there. It's hard to explain. You have to see it in motion. But like if you play something like, for example, if you play like anything on a console that's like true 60 frames per second, you almost have it like it's so smooth that it's weird, And like, for example, like Monster Hunter Rise, for example, like it's just strangely smooth even when you move the camera around. But with this, it's just, there's like the slightest little, I don't know.
It's one of the issues that you get with when it is close to 60, but it's not quite, that it is, it's noticeable when there's, so wasn't there something bizarre thing with Mario Kart 8 on Wii U where technically it was 59 frames a second? Mm-hmm. And so, like, people did notice the stutter, essentially, of, like, the one frame that repeated or something, however that exactly went. I forget now. It was a Digital Foundry video, 9 years ago or whatever. But it's just even that close to 60, but not quite at it. I don't know how noticeable it was to me, playing mostly, like, off TV on the gamepad anyway, but probably, on TV, to people who had a really good setup and were very attuned to such things, they could see it.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah. So that's Final Fantasy XVI. It's good stuff. I mean, if you're a longtime Final Fantasy fan, it may be a little too action oriented for you, but I mean, it's good. It's good. I'm gonna play through. So.
All right. So John Lindemann's a casual. That's fine. We understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. As long as you understand.
Just casually getting all those crowns in Monster Hunter. Yep.
Exactly.
Real casual like.
You gotta pick your spots. Pick your spots. Those. Hey, that's 700 hours of Monster Hunter ain't gonna play itself.
It was all casual though. Every minute.
All casual though. Yeah. All casual.
I mean, think about how much of it he played in a bubble bath, Greg. That's pretty fucking casual.
Too casual sometimes. Absolutely.
That is about as casual as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more casual, but I don't want to hear about it. All right, listener mail. You sent us. We last week we said, hey, we need email. and you said, hey, here's some email. And I appreciate that. But don't stop. Don't rest on your laurels. You all sent us a bunch of email last week. It was fantastic. But don't stop. I want more emails. I want more emails than we can use. And where would they send those emails? Guillaume.
RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com?
That question mark sounded fake. I think we might have found the replicant here. We'll deal with that after the episode. So, yeah, that is RFN at Nintendo World Report.
You're going to deal with it. You're going to retire me? What?
I don't know. I don't know. It's 11:33 p.m.
Unfortunately, your sort of whatever replicant brain has been burgundied, and they put a question mark on the end of everything.
Yeah.
Well, they got wise to our scam to detect AI by too confident in giving the email address, so they've just put a question mark at the end.
It's their crude way of Jerry sort of rigging self-doubt into the system.
Look, the text-to-speech has limited capacity. You put the question mark at the end, and it inflects up.
Yeah, I look forward at the end of this podcast to Guillaume's Tears in Rain speech.
Great. I'm going to read the first email. I do have emails. I'll paste them in the chat as we go. Sin writes, if you could merge any two Nintendo product lines, what would they be? Virtua Boy and Game & Watch could be a one-off game headsets. My personal vote is Amiibo and Labo. Sure, we could have Labo Amiibo, but why not let us build our Amiibos out of cardboard with NFC chips slapped inside? Buy Ghost Trick or everyone will buy 1-2 Switch. Excuse me, or everybody will buy 1-2 Switch. This is a threat. That's a serious fucking threat right there. Yeah, so you're going to combine two Nintendo product lines into a single Nintendo product line. And I'm going to say my go-to for this one has been Chibi-Robo and Pikmin.
Oh, yeah. No, it's always been the hope. I mean, some people have been out there, really quite sort of pushing the idea of like Star Fox and F-Zero merging together to the point that there was a hoax that just went on for it had a life of like years, seemingly.
It did. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I love this shit. I love it. I love that people do this, and it just causes heartburn and pain. What a wonderful world we live in.
I would like to merge F-Zero with the Nintendo product line of like things that are sold.
Oh, so Zelda. Breath of the Wild F-Zero.
We probably do have to accept. Yeah, well, the only way it can exist is if it's some sort of subsumed into Zelda, so that when we get to the next one 6 years from now, it's like, well, now there was a civilization 10,000 years older than the Zonai, but they were really into racing. That's the start of it. That's the premise.
A very stupid racing, too. Like, really pointlessly dangerous, being played thousands of feet above the top of skyscrapers where no one could see it racing. Has anybody ever contemplated that the F-Zero tracks are impossible to get spectators to, and thus they're missing out on a tremendous amount of economic opportunity of selling tickets?
Yeah, so racing as a spectator thing is always a bit problematic, though, isn't it? It's like you're never going to get to see all that much of it all at once. In the pod race, they have a little tablet for Jar Jar to watch, so that's how they kept up with all the goings on.
But I mean, you could do it like Silverstone, when they do the 24-hour race, where it's really just an opportunity to drink. And sometimes you'll watch racing.
Like the secret sauce for pretty much any sporting event, really.
Yeah, but see, like, F-Zero, they're on... So the skyscrapers are below the racetrack, which means the racetracks are above the skyscraper. Like, are these things are these the Zonai? You might be onto something, Greg.
Yeah, they're the pre-Zonai. Like, they're the ones that taught the Zonai how to do anything.
I like that the Zelda franchise is just rapidly turning into just a collective of airfaring civilizations that are somehow completely oblivious to one another.
You just think about how much grief the Master Cycle caused in Breath of the Wild. Think of an F-Zero vehicle, what that could do to a massive open world, just rip it to bits.
No, so actually, I think it'll be okay. Here's my reason. There's only one Master Cycle on screen at a time. In this F-Zero, there's usually like 20 racers. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, XGX is like 30.
Oh, yeah. Then it'll definitely be fine. Yeah. Like, the more you add in, it gives it exercise, opportunity to get good at it, It gets its reps in, so it gets nice and strong. I'm trying to think what other franchise they could tie F-Zero to just so it lives, besides Mario Kart, which they've already done, effectively.
Warriors, obviously, as you've articulated.
Yeah, it's well, I wouldn't argue my F-Zero Warriors article is about F-Zero's living.
Well, it is, if the only way it can live is as a tax write-off, then that's it, isn't it?
It might not be wrong.
Apparently now that is it's the kind of, the code, apparently. It's just that, well, if you're not cancelling stuff for tax reasons, are you even trying about that? That's
right, yeah. I mean, Nintendo wants to be a Hollywood studio. It's gotta play by the rules. I think F-Zero and we'll see what other games get made. We could do Pokemon, but then we'd have the Pokemon company making an F-Zero game, and I can't imagine.
Obviously, it wasn't two Nintendo things, but I mean, we have like Pokemon. We already have Pokemon Conquest, with the Nobunaga's ambition. I mean, that's just been crossed over with so many things. It's hard to imagine, what you could merge it with at this point that would be radically different or fresh.
I'm just thinking like kings of efficient, well-running code, the Pokemon team making an F-Zero game. And just how well that will perform, how beautifully fluid it will be. And by fluid, I mean your Switch will melt because it's just completely shutting down. This
is product lines, right?
This is product lines. So,
when I think
about... It doesn't have to be a game. Like, it could be a service. It could be
down the Fuda cards.
Well, I mean, the obvious crossover that really I think was a big missed opportunity is having the Love Tester in Love Hotels. That's obvious.
It might have been, but you don't want to touch that one.
I mean, for that matter, you could have Ultrahand in there. You know what I mean?
Oh, if I'm there, it already is, John. If I'm there, it already is.
Hey-o!
They call me Ultrahand.
Wow, there it is.
I don't want to be here.
I feel that way often, but it doesn't necessarily relate to the show. It's just a general feeling.
They call me Ultrahand.
I can't even get the ladies out. I've been trying to go ladies the whole time. But every time I start to get it out, I just lose it.
Yep. But yeah, that's the collabo that the world is waiting for.
The collabo that is a cardboard Ultrahand. Well, you wouldn't want it to be reusable. You're going to want to dispose of it afterwards. So that does make sense.
Yeah.
Single-use Ultrahand. Single-use Ultrahand now also in the running for the name of the episode. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
So I actually have one it's more intelligent systems than anything, but I think that's okay. So Intelligent Systems had this Fire Emblem card game, and I'm blanking on what it was called. Was it like Zero or something like that?
I can't remember. I know it existed, but I couldn't tell you.
So this is a Cypher. That's it. They used a zero with the slash through it and called it Cypher. Why? I don't know. Japan. It's a trading card game, and like a physical trading card game. So these really, really beautifully made cards, that were different Fire Emblem characters with just outrageous art, and then it was a standard kind of card battle game. But these cards didn't do anything. And that's I need my cards to do something. So what if the cards had Labo chips in them? We know you can do this because, of course, Animal Crossing did it. Animal Crossing's still doing it. They're still making Animal Crossing amiibo cards. I had a conversation with somebody about them yesterday, of all things. So, all right. So, Fire Emblem amiibo cards. Okay, what are you going to do with those amiibo cards? Well, a lot of the Fire Emblem games take amiibo, so that's a win. You just tap them on there, bam, you get something, great, whatever. But what if you could tap them on there and the character in the card would show up and they would instantly love you? But the amount they love you is based on how rare the card is. So if you get like a Tharja regular rarity card, not like the foil one, she'll show up and maybe she won't spit on you. She doesn't really like you, but she's there. You get the foil one, all the way. You're in. You did it. Congratulations, boys. They will sell so many goddamn Cypher cards. Just like it's the original blind bag baseball cards, but now it's waifu cards, and they've got little NFC chips in them, so you can charge way more for them. This is a can't lose proposition, especially because it's a piece of paper, and you're going to charge like $10 for 5 pieces of paper. You literally cannot lose. Losing is impossible. So that's my ploy here for maximum currency collection, which is where my brain's at right now. Guillaume, what are you combining? Make a hybrid.
I have no idea. I'm so lost. I'm sorry.
What? All right. So I'm gonna go another one. You can pick it up from me.
Okay.
We're gonna save F-Zero by combining it with a series that sells well, Luigi's Mansion. F-Zero, My Luigi's Mansion. What do you got?
Mr. FBE? I don't know. Doesn't really work.
Maybe EGAT is the original F-Zero creator.
No, it's just, well, it's a dead series, so Luigi just has to vacuum it up.
That's dark.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah.
That's a Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts joke right there.
Grabbed by the fucking ghoulies or something. But, he'll turn into a nice painting or something.
There you go.
Just hang up. You like the N64 box art, have a painting of that in your house.
I think they could have done stuff with the Hanafuda cards that they just never... Like, why can't I buy Hanafuda cards that are themed around various Nintendo franchises? I get that,
I agree.
The symbols on the symbology of them has to be fairly standardized with what Hanafuda cards look like, because you play the game visually based on the symbols on the cards. So you wouldn't want to get too flashy with it.
I think if the My Nintendo store here does sell, like, not just like redeem for platinum points or whatever, but actually sells some kind of a Mario character themed Hanafuda deck.
Yeah, there should be one for like Zelda, Pokemon. Pikmin
they've got
be getting...
regular playing cards that are Zelda, Kirby,
right?
Like loads of different stuff. But actually, Hanafuda, I think it's just Mario because they presumably had the playing card ones look pretty crude, just like regular promotional art for those games, character art, just repurposed into playing cards imagery. Whereas the Hanafuda, I think, was probably a lot more bespoke stuff.
Yes, I think what they could be combining, if you hear me out on this one, they're combining Hanafuda cards with scarves. And by that, I'm not suggesting they make a neck warmer out of Hanafuda cards. It's the spirit of the scarf that they're going to combine with the Hanafuda card.
Oh.
So it is a promotional product.
Artificial scarcity, is that what we're looking for?
Well, hold on. It is a promotional product that is for games coming out. So right now, they should be releasing a Pikmin 4 themed Hanafuda deck. And, you could have Pikmin interacting with the cranes or the 4 lotuses or whatever, the cups, all the different cards in the Hanafuda deck. And the way that they would get the spirit of the scarf, besides it being, a promotional item for a game coming out, is that in Europe, it would be readily available. But in North America, it would only be for sale in one card store in the middle of Kansas. And they'd have 10 of them.
Yeah, and you'd have to fight to get them.
And they're not going to tell you what card store it is either.
Yeah, it would be a neckbeard showdown in Kansas to get those things.
They're going to drop one hint as to where that deck or those decks are.
I assume there's like a term in German for this, like Scarfgeist or whatever. Whatever the equivalent.
So I just posted a Fire Emblem Cypher card art. Like, that's the level of quality that they were dealing with in that thing. Like, tell me we can't get some Hanafuda cards with a Pikmin on them? Come on, make it happen, Nintendo. There's a cards division inside Nintendo. There's a cards division. I'm trying to give. We made fun of the guy who was in charge of that division because they lost money year over year that time. I'm saving your division. So get me the Hanafuda cards, make them easily. I want to be able to walk into any convenience store in Europe and just buy them.
And then smuggle them to the United States.
But in the US,
dark of night.
In the US, I want them to be impossible. I want there to be one store somewhere that sells them, and Nintendo drops a hint in Pikmin Bloom for every 100 miles you walk as to what store has them.
Yeah, I want to see somebody dressed up like Luigi punching somebody who is in a terrible Captain Falcon outfit.
Over a
Hanafuda card.
That they can't play because they don't know the rules.
Yes.
But
yes, neither one of them can speak Japanese, of course.
Like, every single major Nintendo release should have a Hanafuda deck. And I'm not even joking about this. Like, that should actually be a thing. And that includes everybody 1-2 Switch. I mean, 1-2 Switch is a multi-million seller. Therefore, this is a significant game. I am suggesting that we need Horace Showpony Hanafuda cards. And I don't even think that's an unreasonable recommendation. Like, he doesn't have to be on the front, on the face. He could be on the back of the card. It could just be a picture of him as the back. I'd accept it, and I'd pay for it. If I have to go find the one store in upstate New York that has them, that's fine. I'll get on a plane and get there.
I mean, let's just face it. Horace Showpony is the new face of Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, he's the new face of gaming.
Yes.
And I mean that in the most, like, broad meaning of the word gaming. So I expect Horace Showpony to be doing...
the broad meaning of the word company and face.
So all these people...
The longest meaning of the word face.
The longest...
anyone that's been a little bit uncomfortable at the sort of, Keighleyfication of, E3 and the Game Awards and this whole thing. Like, but what if we replaced Keighley with Horace? Or, failing that, just put the mask on him and made him do it?
What if he is Horace?
He could be, couldn't he? Because we don't know Horace's real identity.
Someone please Photoshop Horace's face on the horse head on Keighley's Dorito throne.
we have never seen Horace Showpony and Jeff Keighley in the same place, and I think that's weird.
Well, I would think that Horace Showpony is more of a kind of like there's generation after generation. Like, one Horace Showpony would die, and another. It's a title, exactly.
This is
and
like
a new one would take
19...
its place.
Is this like a mascot in a major college football? Or this is Smokey 19. What happened to Smokey 18? We don't talk about that. Yeah, it's more of a concept than a person. Horace Showpony. It's like it's like one Horace Showpony. 1-2 switched one time too many, and and says, I must pass the mantle on to you, and that person becomes the new Horace Showpony. So does that mean like it's like a regal name? You're born with a different name, and upon receiving the title, you become Horace Showpony?
Yeah, it's like the title you take when 100%. You become the Pope, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
The current Horace's name was Mike before. He didn't have a horse head, but then he became Horace Showpony.
Subsumed by Horace Showpony. Sorry, Mike. You're Horace now.
Mike is dead. I'm Horace Showpony the 32nd.
Long live Horace Showpony.
Fuck. So that's
why did they do that to this podcast? Why did they do that to this podcast? It's like, I mean, Horace Showpony, we're never going to let it go. It's never going to go away.
No, we hold on to jokes for decades. This isn't going anywhere. We won't even remember what the game was, but we'll be like Horace Showpony.
Yep.
And it's just done. Like, that's the end of the episode. Episode's over. Just call it. Call it a day. Like, I mean, I want to combine everybody's 1-2 switch with F-Zero. And I think the answer is just, I mean, Horace Showpony in the F-Zero is just about as logical as anybody else.
That's it. 30 cars is not enough. What if it's 100 cars?
It's 100
and everybody's
cars,
controlling it on their phones, and it's really, while they're trying to do some bullshit X Cup creation that's a half pipe that doesn't even make geometric sense, and 84 cars are dead on the first turn. It's got everything.
But they're all on. They have to be in the same room, so all 100 cars are on screen.
Yes. Oh yeah, of course.
If you're combining, if you're putting Horse Show Pony in F-Zero, for whatever reason, all of a sudden he's going to be just a regular human, right?
Yeah.
It's like he's just going to be called that Horse Show Pony, and it's like, what connection does this have to everybody want to switch? I don't know. Like, explicitly in the story, yeah, sure. Like, he's a reference to that game, but no, he's just a regular guy.
He enjoys carrots a lot, is what we're going to find out. Like, all of his videos are going to be him eating a carrot in a purple sequin tuxedo suit. But they're never. Yeah, you're right. He's not actually going to be a horse, unless he is, like the fucking Octoman.
Yeah,
Which, again.
Well, that's what makes the whole James McCloud thing so weird. Is like, well, we've got Octoman and we've got all this other crazy stuff in there. We got there's a skull for a head and like all this other stuff. But like, Fox person's too weird. He's got to be a human. Like,
I mean, look, F-Zero's, like, having just written about F-Zero, it is amazing how bad every single character in the F-Zero
That's the problem when it's like, it's one of the great things about F-Zero X and GX is the 30 card thing for me. It's just like, it is crazy. I remember reading about that, having, been a big fan of the original F-Zero, the thought of like this kind of game. And obviously F-Zero X is actually way faster and crazier than the Super Nintendo one.
Right.
Like, but with 30 cars at once, or like, it's mad. Like, that's why I love it. That's why I still have the dream. Like, could you imagine, something like that, even if it's not literally 30, online, people just going crazy rather than the sort of inevitably kind of bullshitty stratification that you get out of AI, where it's like, well, some people are kind of meant to be at the back and some people are meant to be in the middle and some people are the ones that are actually challenging you to win the cup or whatever. If it's online, it's just all human people, it would be so insane. But the downside of this wonderful thing of 30 cars on the track at once in ridiculous high-speed racing, suspended over futuristic cities where death is never far away, is that you have to come up with things to be in the cars. They didn't really, that wasn't the priority as ever. The priority was, no, what's fun? Well, 30 cars at once. They didn't let the fact that they would have to come up with 30 characters stop them from doing a fun idea. But it does mean that, they're not particularly good. Some of it just repeats, isn't it? It's just, a Captain Falcon. What about Blood Falcon?
Right.
What if we just turned down the saturation and called it a day? And then that was absolutely somebody who had to go home early that night. It was just like, nope.
And he's not even like the only one that's really similar to Captain Falcon.
No.
There's another one I think I'm forgetting, but it's just...
You're right, there are two. It's bad. And then you've got like the occasional, like, I don't know, Jodie Summers. Why? I don't know. We just did it. It was quick. We drew her in about an hour. Finished. Assignment finished.
What's the one where it's the arrow or something, and then there's just his wife?
Yes,
is a separate character.
Yeah, look, it's hard. It's hard to do your job, and if you can
like I said, I approve of just the fact of like, don't let the fact that you wouldn't be able to come up with 30 good, unique designs stop you from having 30 unique cards in it. That is the beauty of Nintendo's prioritization of gameplay for that game, and in other cases where it's like, you know what? If we're going to have this at 60 frames per second and have all these cars on, it is going to look like dog shit. And it's going to have fucking terrible characters, but it's going to play brilliantly. And that's what matters.
I like that BioRex basically just looks like a character they took out of Time Splitters. Like a background character. And they're like, no, this is good enough. It's really bad. It's kind of... Like, the problem is anytime they tried on a character, it got worse. So the ones that they just punt on, like Jodie, Like, they clearly just punted. They're just like, I don't know, give her Barbie proportions and shoulder pads. Done. Next character. And then the next character up is like, well, Leon's in there, but he actually is a wolf man, which makes everything confusing. Because Leon's supposed to be a reptile, but then you get Mighty Gazelle, which is a robot.
That's a robot in the red. It's a red car, isn't it?
Yes, but he's got wheels for shoulders.
When they're all hovercrafts.
Yes. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
So you feel like wheels have pretty much been sort of like obviated at this point, haven't they? So,
yeah. Or you've got Roger, who's just a bald man. And then you've got, what's his name? Mike, who's just a monkey. He's just a monkey person. Like, anytime they tried, it just got worse. Instantly worse. Gomar and Shio are fucking nightmares.
Yeah, that's the twin car, isn't it? It's like got two bits to it, and it's very fragile, as I recall.
And they're like weird acorns for heads. I don't care for it. It's bad. Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to think what you could combine. So F-Zero, I think you can combine with any F-Zero plus Animal Crossing.
You take what you get at this point. Right,
you're running a resort for the F-Zero. Look for the blood money countries that are funding the F-Zero circuit.
That would be, to be fair, wouldn't it?
This is the Sharm El Sheikh of F-Zero. Yes, that's what this is, and you're running it. So that's what you're after. Or maybe it's the Doha. Maybe it's the Doha of the F-Zero world. And so you're just trying to build it up for these people coming in for their fucking race that's 18,000 feet in the air. I don't think we combined enough things with the Donkey Konga drum.
Well, what about pinball? Right, this is a crazy idea. Oh, wait. Well, I mean, they didn't actually do it, right? But
no, they demoed it.
They came close to doing it with Adama.
Odama was like, we've got all this shit. Let's try to make it all work in one game. And then they're like, okay, but what if none of it actually worked? What if the whole thing was a terrible idea and it never stood a chance?
For me, they came close to doing this with the giant robot thing, but Star Fox Labo should happen, because we all know it's all got a bit wrong when it hasn't been low poly for Star Fox.
Right.
People haven't seemed to enjoy it as well. I've enjoyed some of the other Star Fox games. I still haven't played Assault, the GameCube one. But just like if we keep the ship designs anchored by the fact that we can actually build them out of cardboard, then I think that is the only way that it can succeed in the marketplace.
For a little while there, Nintendo ran a company that produces comics, and they still do in Japan. But it's comics for their stuff, and they have a partner in the industry. So what if they combined the comics with the Hanafuda cards? So you would get, but we wouldn't actually be Hanafuda card stuff, but with their trading card business.
Oh, I've got it. Tears of the Kingdom, right? An adaptation of its story that you get through blind buy cards.
Congratulations, you got exactly where I was about to go.
Because that is essentially, with the teardrop things, isn't it? That's how you get the story. You could get the end of the story, you could get the middle of the story, you could get it in any order.
Who can say?
But what's the hollow foil version of like a particular cutscene?
Oh, so the hollow foil version is it actually makes sense in the context of Breath of the Wild.
And funnily enough, like those cards still haven't been spotted in the wild, as it were.
I mean, the other one
they say they exist, but do we know?
I guess that would be the hollow foil one, and then the ones with the little diamond indicator would be the weird Warriors meta narrative version that's going to inevitably come out in 2 years.
The hollow foil is a version where the unicorn that Ganondorf is riding just impales someone like in Cabin in the Woods.
It's just, I'm trying to think of what can come through time at the start of Breath of the Wild to fuck shit up. Just break the whole timeline.
That's synergy. That is synergy between the narrative in the game and the medium that you're crossing it over with and buying in.
Yeah, I'm there. So like you can
the sticker album, isn't it? It's like I remember when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, the sticker cards.
My brother had like a sticker album of like that was like vaguely recounting Secret Wars from Marvel.
Yes.
So it's like that. But again, it's like, this is how you build the story in whatever bloody order you happen to get those stickers.
I mean, isn't that how Garbage Pail Kids launched? It was just like stickers that were in card form.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
And eventually there was a goddamned movie and a video game for NES in the year of our Lord 2023.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So what I think we're getting at is the regular sticker cards are the narrative of of Tears of the Kingdom. The foil ones are one that actually makes sense with Breath of the Wild. And then I don't know maybe like the special border ones are the ones that are telling the narrative parallel story, the other alternate timeline that will ultimately be the Warriors game that we're going to get.
Tears of the Warriors.
Where some fucking egg comes back through time and fucks everything up.
And also, each sticker has an NFC thing in it, and you get a bunch of bananas if you scan them. There
you go. Perfect. But also that would cause the I can't remember what the name of that group is.
Yeah, it's a trap. The Yiga are setting it for that is what you get for scanning your stickers that you paid for, is a trap set for you by the Yiga.
Every single banana.
Hideously obvious that that's what it is, and yet you still kind of have to spring the trap.
I mean, you feel morally obligated having already scanned the card. I think the NFC card needs to be on the opposite, on the negative of the sticker, the part you're going to throw away.
Yeah.
Just to force you to hold on to them. Fuck it, put F-Zero in that too. That's the black border cards. It's just randomly
Master
F-Zero
Koga
characters.
has taken up racing.
Kind of. He kind of has.
That could work. I could see it.
God, Master Koga is such a fucking F-Zero character, isn't he?
I mean, it was already true in Breath of the Wild, but it's more explicit in Tears of the Kingdom. It's Team Rocket. I mean, good lord, it's Team Rocket.
Like, I just look at him and immediately I'm thinking of, like, he's basically just Dr. Clash in a mask. Like, that's the one that had the dumb robot arms.
American.
Yeah, oh my god, this is... Oh, I think we landed here. I think we made it. I think we saved the card division and made them the most profitable division. And remember, your cards don't have to have equal availability. So if you want to have the one that actually explains the goddamn story, you can make it super rare. Super duper rare. Oh, you know what? You also sell the binder, the sticker book. And it's got slots. Specifically that when you put them out there, it has a timeline. And then that's the new timeline book.
Send off for the timeline.
That's right. You send us 10 UPCs and we'll send you the blank timeline.
It's just somebody flipping you off as well. That's the worst part of it when you get it. That's all it is.
It's on the back of the page.
But they've got the Triforce tattooed on their hand, so I guess you have to accept it.
It's canon now.
You don't know which one of the three of it. It would seem out of character for Zelda to flip you off for the idea of wanting to know something. Yeah, that's her side of the street, but yeah, maybe that's why.
Why do you care? This isn't important. I mean, they could just get in the publishing business of every time Tears of the Kingdom blew up the plot threads of Breath of the Wild, they release a new book. So they're on like edition 8 by the end of the game. All right, so I'll just read this one because I got it in front of me. Miguel from New Jersey writes, Metacritic Golf, closest to the Metacritic score via absolute value of these Nintendo games. He sent us a bunch of Nintendo games. He wants us to guess what the Metascore for them was. And what I will do is I will not bring them up yet. So I will get our scores and then we will go from there. So, all right, the first one is the original Mario Strikers. This is the soccer franchise.
The GameCube one.
And we're trying to guess the Metacritic score here.
Yes. So I'll go first so I can pull it up. I'm going to say 80.
Yeah, I don't look at Metacritic enough to know what's a realistic score.
I'd say 77.
Okay.
I was going to say like 79 or 78. So
yeah, I think games tended to skew a little higher back in the sort of aughts, so that's kind of clouding it a bit for me. I'm going to go 73 because it was really light on content. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but for review, that's going to get it some poorer scores because there was nothing in it apart from, playing against each other.
And online wasn't a thing yet. Yeah. So I will say Greg and John are very close, 73 and 77. It is between the two of you, but John gets it with a 76.
Nicely done, John.
That's almost like your favorite score.
Almost. It's about 9 away.
All right, so the next one up is Wario Land Shake It for Wii. I'm going to say it got an 88.
Wario Land Shake It.
I'm going to say it didn't get high enough. I think it's probably more like about 80. And, which is good. Obviously.
It's solid.
I don't know whether anybody was really that predisposed to giving 2D platformers on Wii at that point a high score. But, I would probably score it higher, but I'd go with 80.
Well, I remember that Jeremy Parrish on OneUp.com gave it like a C.
He gave it a 58.
If he didn't love it, what are the chances that it got really great scores?
It got some good reviews, obviously, but it would have to average out at 80.
He is an outlier. He gave it the lowest.
Well, also
score.
some of that is the translating their letter grade system to Metacritic was a bit. But
I'm gonna go with 78.
I'll go with a 74.
So one of you got it exactly. Guillaume, it was in fact 78.
There we go.
All right, new Super Luigi U.
Oh, this is interesting because it's.
I'm gonna say 75.
Yeah, you think that the year of Luigi just kind of predisposed reviewers to be more lenient or to be like. I guess it was the year of like Luigi Fever, but
we all caught Luigi Fever at some point.
Is that better or worse than Pac-Man Fever?
It's greener. The issue with this one is that New Super Mario Bros. U is very good, and New Super Luigi's U is probably better from a pure level design standpoint.
In some ways, yeah. But some of it is like it comes after, so it's like it kind of. Right. It does smart things to freshen it up to make it faster by making the levels more compact and have a tighter time limit and stuff, but obviously it does have the exact same overworld.
Right.
So I think it was really well received though.
I was going to say, I'm going to guess 85 for this.
Okay.
I was going to say 85.
I'll say 81.
Okay. I'll let y'all have the same number because it doesn't matter because I said 75 and it's 77.
Wow, that is very sad, I think. But, it's DLC, so it's a little bit of a different discipline scoring that points-wise. So, but if you'd said to me, what had a higher meta score, Wario Land Shake It or New Super Luigi, I would have said Luigi any time would have been the highest scorer. So I am genuinely shocked that they're virtually the same, but it's still a shock to me.
So I need to buy the New Super Mario Brothers U for Switch because I've never played Luigi U, and so I need to do that. All right, so the next one is Super Princess Peach. My gut is 74.
I'm gonna go with 70.
I'll say, man, for me it'd be something in the low 70s, maybe 72.
Yeah, it's pretty boring. I would just go somewhere in the 70s again. I think maybe because it might, if it came out a few years later, it probably might have been a bit lower. But I think it was, like I said, I think it was a bit more leniency in those days. I'd say 75.
Damn it! I said 74. It is 75.
Hey, it's nice to be on the end of one of those granular differences, the positive end.
It's fucking Price is Right bullshit. All right, so our last competitor, Xenoblade Chronicles X. This one's really difficult.
I'm sure I would have known this at some point. This is one I actually would have looked at. I'm sure at some point, but it was a long time ago now.
I'm gonna say 84.
86.
Yeah, man. Xenoblade Chronicles X. I will say this one is. I'll say this one's 88.
Oh god, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm gonna go for the Aragorn Special 87.
It is in fact 84.
Ooh. 84.
I got it on the nose.
That is. I mean, because again, I was kind of think that's I would go higher than that, right? I mean, if you would just review it. I would go quite a lot higher than 87. I would probably be either a 9 or a 9.5 if I was reviewing that game for NWR. So I was already kind of going lower, but it's even a bit lower again.
So to your point, though, I would have also looked at the score at some point, and I feel like I must have, because when I read the name, something in the back of my brain was screaming 84.
Right.
Like I already knew this number.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have. Yeah, I think obviously it wasn't a million miles away from what any of us were thinking, but
no, we were all.
You feel like it's one of those that I said it because there's some Xenoblade stuff that is in the 90s, right? Like the maybe the first one, or so it's got like a 91 or something, and it just. Obviously, I don't disagree with that. I really like the first Xenoblade, but it does seem like it's just a different kind of game, and there's the Wii U factor and some of the stuff. I don't know. Did the reviewers have the thing with the data packs to make it easy? I assume they would have done, right?
They would. It was available to download
because was something that it was only in the Japanese version where that wasn't at launch,
right? And Nintendo was. At this point, was largely giving out download codes for review games anyway, so they probably would have had it digitally.
Yeah. So a bit low, but I guess it's with the ballpark of what we were thinking.
Yeah. So I mean, it's in there. That was the full list, but I want to add 2 more ones that I think could be fun experiments.
Everybody want to Switch?
Well, it doesn't have it yet.
Really? But the game's out. I mean, surely the advanced review copies that they provide.
They couldn't find.
The army of reviewers has spoken. Surely,
sure. At least just those influencers that were.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's actually. Maybe it does have them one by now. So. No, I wasn't going in the direction of everybody want to Switch. Thank you very much.
That's all there is now. It's the answer to everything.
I mean, you're not wrong. I don't even see it listed as new in the new game section of Metacritic. They might be ignoring this game, which I think is amazing. I am. Oh, they might actually be ignoring this game. That's amazing.
As part of the ad campaign, Nintendo probably paid them to ignore it.
Please do not listen.
It's like instead of placing ads on your platform, we're going to pay you to suppress it.
If you list this game, we will actually cease and desist at you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even see it listed. This is wild. All right, so this is not an everybody 1-2 Switch thing. Just this is actually just another thing I think coincidentally would be worth exploring. Pocket Card Jockey.
See, people love that.
That would be like a 91, I think, something like that.
Oh,
I'm
really?
gonna say 80.
Yeah, I was gonna say 82.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to probably have a little bit more of a range on it than some of the ones we've discussed in terms of some people just really, really love it, but you can bet some just that would have reviewed it just didn't get it nearly so much.
I'll say 83.
So it's 83. Tricky. I'm going to say 86.
It's 83.
Yeah.
Very well played.
All right, and then one last one. Again, this is nothing to do with Horus. 1-2 Switch.
Okay, yeah. If you combine the two things together, we know. I'll see what you did there.
I'm
1-2
gonna
Switch.
say- I'm going to say 47 because people
say
fucking hated this game.
I'll
You
say
know-
65. 65.
You know what I was saying earlier about Xenoblade X being, oh yeah, I must have looked at this at some point. You know what the opposite of that is? It's this. So I don't have a clue, to be honest.
I just saw the score.
I'm going to say 58.
I was going to say 52? No, did someone else say that?
It doesn't
Nope.
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because Greg fucking nailed it on the nose.
Really? Oh, that is such a shot in the
wild.
dark.
Based on 63 people were forced to review it.
Man, what's the lowest
thing.
score? What's the lowest score?
Well, all right. So let me give it. Time Magazine gave it a 9.
Wow.
Was they fucking on mushrooms?
Yeah,
All right.
really.
The lowest score
It's like a 10 probably.
is from a German website. So
Uh-huh.
that Rex.
Mhm.
They gave it a 28.
Wow.
The lowest from the National Post's games portal, which I'm sure no longer exists, gave it a 40. Let's see. Here we go. Game Informer gave it a 40. Given its diehard fan base, it would be easy for Nintendo to forget the point of first-party launch titles is to sell consumers on the capabilities of the new system. But most consumers would like more than one reason to buy a new console besides Breath of the Wild. And if 1-2 Switch is insultingly shallow, Nintendo has created an intriguing piece of hardware that is by default the runner-up. What? No. Come on, you can't give a 40 and that be your quote. You got to give me some zest. Well, yeah. Again, this had nothing to do with Horror Show Pony. This is completely unrelated. All right, cool. Well, that's going to do it for email this week. Again, emails rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. You can send them there. We will answer them. We will try to shoehorn in a horseshoe wherever we can. And yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm looking for NWR's review of it. I don't know that we have one. Did we not review 1-2 Switch? Did we assign Carl Castaneda 1-2 Switch? Oh no, there it is, 65. We gave it a 65, and we're in the top third of the review scores. It's not great. Greg,
Yes.
there's some music this week.
Well, there is, yeah. Well, we already mentioned it that, other than the galaxy devouring importance of everybody 1-2 Switch coming out, Ghost Trick came out, like 20 minutes ago in the Eastern Time Zone or whatever, and that has been provided for review and has a Metacritic page, and NWR's reviewed it and got a 9.5 again and all that good stuff. So felt like an apt occasion to use something from that soundtrack again. We have used it a couple of times in the past, kind of more on the sort of dramatic or kind of emotive side of the soundtrack. But as you might imagine, given the sort of Ace Attorney pedigree, this got quite a sort of range of different kind of feelings that this one evokes. Yeah,
and so Greg asked me to pick one for this. So I went with Lynn's theme. Lynn is the redhead. I can't remember what the actual name of the song is.
I think it's Lynn, a targeted redhead is actually what they call the theme. Yeah,
because most of the premise of the game is she's the one who people are trying to take out. But also she's flighty. I'll say flighty. Flighty might be a good word for her. She's very much a Maya Fey analog in a lot of ways. So yeah, this song it's upbeat. It's fun. It's very like late DS. If they were still making Ace Attorney games kind of music, you can feel it. Maybe less than some of the other songs, but it's there. And yeah, it's a good song. I enjoy it a lot. I had actually listened to it recently, so I'm curious to hear how this one comes out in the new one. And I'm going to find out in probably about 30 minutes. I think that's about how long it takes to meet Lynn. So, on that, it's time for us to go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
bye-bye.
Let's see, time-wise, where are we at? We are at an hour. That is
that's
impressive.
Make it really short.
Okay, I've got one here that's actually just give me numbers. Does that work for you?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, that's
Also,
fine.
will it actually be short?
Well, literally, you're just guessing numbers, so
Okay.
it should be pretty quick.
Who is this?
I gotta go dig it out because it wasn't one of the. It was one of the ones I had on the.
It's
the
from a Mr. Show Pony.
Please, that's my father's name.
My son is also named Horace.
Yes, betting on Horsehead it was going to be in this one, but I pulled it because we've over show ponied.
So there was a quota.
Properly
there was a quota.
The show pony.
It was the moment when we hit show pony again, and I couldn't even get the words out that I was losing it. All right,
Zelda dressage.
Fuck! God damn it!
It's gonna happen.
Oh, you're right, and that makes me really upset.
And Horace is like the last boss or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, you try riding something that's standing on two legs.
He could do dancing way better, only being on two legs. He's like, Fred Astaire. How the hell do you beat that? But you do it somehow.
But Zelda was always so concerned about doing things the way everyone expected. She's not going to want to ride on a horse that's standing on its hind legs. She's not going to be okay with that.
Just like Yoda on Luke.
Yeah. Just like, no, this isn't how you do it. And he's like, you could just normal dance. I've got human feet. No. That's the entire DLC, by the way.